Chapter 1735. Ancient Dragon City. Upon hearing that, the cultivators on the team all felt somewhat excited. The strength of the dragon race spoke for itself. This was especially so for the ancient era, when the entire dragon race was at its peak. Although the dragon race was strong now, many of the great desolate 100 races could compete with it. Furthermore, after the noble clans established their dynasties, the luck of the great 1,000 realms changed slightly. The dynasties flourished, and their luck flourished. In the past few years, they had even developed to their peak. The 4 dynasties were all major factions. Be it the aloof holy rank sects or the strong races of the great desolate 100 races, none dared to challenge them. However, things were different during the ancient era. After the fiendish demons caused chaos, the various races with great desolate Aeon bloodlines divided up the great 1,000 realms. They competed with each other, resulting in the 100 Races War. Among them, the dragon race was one of the strongest, ruling over the place. However, there was no such thing as eternal prosperity in the world. The dragon race rose and fell several times. Furthermore, the noble clans rose. For the sake of suppressing the strong great desolate Aeon bloodline clans and holy rank sects, the noble clans worked together to establish a supreme dynasty. From then on, the situation of the world was set. Although the dragon race was still a peak faction, it no longer had the boldness of dominating the world during the 100 Races War. Being able to enter an ancient dragon city was a great fortuitous encounter. However, an ancient dragon city had existed for many tens of thousands of years. No one could guarantee that there were still valuable treasures in there. After all, the dragon race of the other bloodlines were still around. Perhaps the other races split up the valuable treasures when the dragon race declined. Without any valuable treasures, it would just be an ancient city. It was not an inheritance land of a sect or a place to nurture natural treasures. There was nothing special about it. Tens of thousands of years later, there might be other living beings in this underground dragon city. For example, the flame demons that like to live underground. There were many ferocious beasts and fiendish demons in the depths of the dragon flame ancient land. Everything was possible. One could not celebrate too early. Xiao Qian was the last to arrive. He felt excited, but he did not want to appear too strange and attract the attention of others, causing them to make wild guesses. Xiao Qian calmly sized up his surroundings. He knew very little about the blue dragon bloodline in the great 1,000 worlds. He was also filled with curiosity as he looked around. According to what Senior Ma said, it was very possible that this place was indeed the dragon city that the blue dragon bloodline had once built. However, for some reason, Xiao Qian felt that something was wrong from the moment the dragon flames erupted. If it really was the land of the blue dragon, how could it spit out such terrifying dragon flames? The blue dragon was of the wood element and was not good at using fire. That was what the red dragon was good at. However, the red dragon bloodline still existed to this day, and everyone was familiar with it. This did not fit Senior Ma's theory. Doubts rose in Xiao Qian's mind and he could not get rid of them. Old Ma, I feel that there is something strange about this city. It had been submerged underground for tens of thousands of years. Logically speaking, the Yin energy should be very dense. But after waiting for a while, I didn't feel anything. Something is very wrong. Leng Feng cautiously observed his surroundings and said in a low voice. Senior Ma nodded. That's right. I sensed it as well. The spiritual energy fluctuations are also somewhat strange. The fire-attributed spiritual energy is practically gone. This is the dragon flame ancient land. The fire-attributed spiritual energy should be exceptionally dense. Be more careful. Everyone, follow closely. No one is to move alone. Senior Ma shouted loudly. Then, he led the crowd and began to carefully explore the city. However, Senior Ma and the others clearly underestimated the danger of this dragon city. Before the group got far, several pairs of scarlet eyes opened in a dilapidated building in front. They looked like drifting scarlet flames, exuding a seductive charm. Whoosh! 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 Fiery lights flickered in the dark dragon city. 10 odd red flame demons quickly pounced over. Miserable cries rang out. Caught off guard, 3 members were immediately burned to a crisp. Blood flowed out and seeped into the ground. Their deaths were exceptionally miserable. Be careful. They are superior-grade flame demons. Senior Ma exclaimed. Unexpectedly, they would run into so many superior-grade flame demons here. A huge battle instantly started. The combat prowess of superior-grade flame demons was exceptionally terrifying. Furthermore, their vision was not affected in the darkness. Their movement techniques were strange. They could easily turn into flames and merge into the ground. Then, they would wait for an opportunity to appear, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. Fortunately, the team that Senior Ma led was made up of elite outstanding talents. It was not like they had not fought with superior-grade flame demons before when they came out for experiential training. After the initial panic, the team quickly calmed down. Xiaoqun took the opportunity to observe Xiahou Feng and Ling Feng's strength. These two truly lived up to being as strong as star venerates. Despite facing several superior-grade flame demons at the same time, they held the upper hand and could still help the others. These two have already condensed the will of soul. After observing for a while, Xiaoqun finally discovered some clues. No wonder they were so strong, comparable to star venerates. The will of soul was the greatest reliance of the Cloud Sea realm. They had already condensed it. However, their cultivation was still lacking, so they were not in a rush to make a breakthrough. These people were also ambitious people. They knew that only by laying down a good foundation and making a breakthrough when the conditions were right could they go further in the Cloud Sea realm. Xiaoqun did not find it strange that these people could condense the will of soul before reaching the Cloud Sea realm. The world was vast, there were all sorts of strange things. The Great Thousand Realms were far vaster than what he saw. Just like how Xiaoqun could cultivate the dragon blood soul-breaking finger, others might have cultivated soul energy cultivation techniques as well. Furthermore, these two's cultivations were infinitely close to star venerates in the first place. As for soul energy, they could already touch the surface of it. After a while, after leaving behind a few flame demon corpses, the other flame demons started retreating quickly. They did not continue fighting. Don't chase a cornered enemy. Senior Ma reminded a team elite that had chased too deeply. Who knew, right after that Major Primal Core elite spoke, a palm strike knocked that Major Primal Core elite cultivator back. A black palm print appeared on that elite cultivator's chest, and a black flame burned in the wound. That flame was illusory and beautiful, not solid. After that, this elite cultivator's lips turned black, and his life force drained continuously. Flame poison. This startled the others. They had never seen such a terrifying flame poison before. Senior Ma looked up and saw a flame demon covered in black flames walk out of the shadows, leading hundreds of red flame demons. This flame demon had a fanatical look in its eyes as it looked at Senior Ma's group, brimming with murderous intent. Black flame demon. Senior Ma's expression changed slightly. He had never seen or heard of this before. Leave half of the people behind. The rest can return the way they came. The black flame demon suddenly spoke, negotiating conditions with Senior Ma and the others. Ling Feng laughed hoarsely, "You're just a mere flame demon, and you dare to speak such nonsense? Coincidentally, I have never obtained a black flame crystal before. I wonder how much it is worth." Kill. The black flame demon smiled coldly, and hundreds of high-ranked flame demons charged forward, charging at Senior Ma's team. Senior Ma also smiled coldly and said, "Everyone, work together and kill this group of flame demons." Although the flame demons held the advantage in numbers, Senior Ma's team was not a temporary team. The core team members had experienced many life and death situations together and had great teamwork. When they worked together, their strength was not as simple as 1+1. Earlier, during the dragon flame eruption, Xiaoqun had seen the might of a team's teamwork. Although a new team member like Xiao Chen was not familiar with the old team, it would be fine as long as he did not cause trouble. Furthermore, the team was made up of sect elites who grasped many secret techniques and protective treasure tools, even Dao tools. Once the team's true strength burst forth, it would be exceptionally terrifying. Xiao Chen drew the tyrant saber and used the army-breaking saber technique to face the enemy, not fearing these high-ranked flame demons surrounding him. The situation quickly stabilized. Senior Ma's team slowly gained the upper hand. Xiao Chen swept his gaze around and freed up his hands to work with Leng Feng and Xiahou Feng, preparing to kill this black flame demon. The three worked together to fight the black flame demon. Although the black flame demon was horrifying, it could not withstand the repeated attacks of 3-star Venerate level existences. After a while, it started showing signs of defeat. Seeing that it could not defeat the black flame demon, it roared ferociously and turned into a clump of black clouds, fleeing. However, none of Senior Ma's group of 3 gave chase. Leng Feng said with some lingering fear in his heart, "This black flame demon is really terrifying. It is clearly not a star Venerate, but it is even stronger than a regular star Venerate. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's deal with the other flame demons first." Right. 1 hour later, the battle ended. Most of the flame demons that came were dead. As for Senior Ma's team, close to 20 people died, a disastrous loss. In one go, they lost 1/5 of their team. The flame demon tribe definitely has a strong yang attributed flame where they gather. Based on the strength of this flame demon tribe, the place where they gather is definitely a primal chaos level flame. Earlier, I found some resources left behind by the original owner of a courtyard. Most of them were already abandoned, but I unexpectedly found 1 or 2 perfectly preserved small things. This is a dragon city, after all. There are still many important places that we did not go to. After collecting the blaze crystals in the red flame demon's body, Senior Ma discussed with the others and decided to continue forward. Those who felt that they were not strong enough could take some of the red blaze crystals and return the way they came. This trip was dangerous, but no one backed out. All of them chose to continue deeper. Just at this moment, the sounds of intense fighting rang out. It was a saber hum. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows. As a bladesman, his senses were much sharper than others. A strong bladesman was currently fighting with someone. The expressions of Senior Ma and the others immediately turned grave. To think that someone else managed to enter this place before them. A miserable shriek rang out. The black flame demon that had retreated earlier got ruthlessly hacked back by a saber. The black flame demon landed before everyone again. A saber struck the chest of the black flame demon, nearly chopping it in half at the waist. Saber chi lingered. No matter how hard the black flame demon tried, the wound could not heal. The black flame demon roared furiously, but it could not get up. How strong? Who is it? Everyone looked up and saw a mysterious bladesman wearing tight clothes and a conical bamboo hat flying over in the air. The bamboo hat bladesman swept his gaze across Senior Ma's team before gently landing. After dealing the final blow to the black flame demon, he looked at Senior Ma and the others and said, "I'll take this blaze crystal. You don't have any objections, right?" This bladesman's voice was specially altered, but everyone could still tell that the owner of the voice was very young. This was a young star Venerate level bladesman. How could Senior Ma and the others dare to say anything? Although the 3 injured this black flame demon and weakened it, this bamboo hat bladesman was still able to kill it alone. To be able to kill so tyrannically with the strength of a single person was enough to show how terrifying his strength was. With such strength, who would dare to offend him? Chapter 1736. As Senior Ma and the others watched the bamboo hat bladesman take away the precious black flame crystal, they did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. "Might I ask for your great name and which sect of the central great realm you come from?" Senior Ma and Leng Feng exchanged glances. Then, they stepped forward, wanting to strike up a conversation. If necessary, it would be for the best if they could form an alliance. Even if the alliance failed, they could at least maintain a friendship and avoid conflict in the future. The Bamboo Hat Bladesman mocked indifferently, "The Central Great Realm? I have not been there yet. I am just a loose cultivator. Just call me Ananda." As the Bamboo Hat Bladesman spoke, he swept his gaze over Senior Ma's team again. He now had a clearer understanding of the strength of this team. When the Bamboo Hat Bladesman's gaze landed on Xiao Chen, a strange expression flashed in his eyes, which were hidden under the bamboo hat. However, it passed in an instant. Others would not notice anything at all. A loose cultivator? Ling Feng and Xiahou Feng were both shocked. Since when did loose cultivators have such heaven-defying characters? However, given how vast the world was, it was hard to avoid some people getting lucky. Ling Feng continued and invited, "Brother Ananda, you are alone. How about you join our team?" The Bamboo Hat Bladesman smiled faintly and said, "There's no need." After leaving behind these two simple words, the Bamboo Hat Bladesman drifted away. The Bamboo Hat Bladesman did not intend to form an alliance with Senior Ma and the others. Or rather, he did not care about them at all. After that Bamboo Hat Bladesman went far away, all sorts of discussions rang out. What a young star venerate. His saber techniques are really startling. Indeed. That black flame demon was chopped in half by one saber strike. The saber chi lingered around. Although he did not comprehend the complete saber Tao, he is not far from it. I wonder where this expert came from. Xiao Chen remained silent as he looked in the direction that Bamboo Hat Bladesman left, entering deep thought. The Bamboo Hat Bladesman's entire body was covered up, no one could see anything wrong with him. However, for some reason, Xiao Chen found this person somewhat familiar. He must have seen this person before. However, in Xiao Chen's memory, he did not recall any bladesman with such strength. Senior brother Yi Zifeng definitely has one. However, senior brother Yi Zifeng is much more brilliant than that. He is a holy venerate. Maybe I'm just seeing things. Xiao Chen also began to doubt his own intuition because his memory had always been very good. There was no mistake. If he couldn't recall it, then it could only be that his intuition was wrong. After a long time, Old Ma said, "Everyone, be careful. It looks like we are not the only ones who have discovered this dragon city. Who knows, there might be other people. If we run into a disciple from a 5th grade sect." When Senior Ma and the others saw the Bamboo Hat Bladesman, their hearts sank. This place no longer belonged to them alone. With the appearance of the Bamboo Hat Bladesman, there would definitely be others. Xiao Chen's hopes of monopolizing the fortuitous encounters of the Dragon City would be dashed. If he was unlucky and encountered a disciple of a 5th grade sect, he would definitely be killed. Not only would they not be able to obtain the fortuitous encounter, but they would also have no choice but to flee in all directions and leave their fates to fate. Continuing forward, Senior Ma's team annihilated another flame demon team. They explored the courtyards and ancient buildings, obtaining many benefits. Some were weapons from the ancient times, some were cultivation resources left behind from the ancient times, and so on. To be able to go through such a long period of time, wash away all of his glory, and reveal his sharpness once more. Needless to say, it was definitely something good. Half a day later. Rumble. A series of loud sounds came from ahead, along with dense flames and the shouts of cultivators. There really is someone. There are quite a lot of people. Elder Ma's expression immediately turned grave. Xiao Chen did not fear meeting a lone expert like the Bamboo Hat Bladesman. He feared meeting a team like theirs. Let's go and take a look. No matter what, it was necessary to understand the other party's background. Even before Zhang Xian got close, he could already feel surging heatwaves surging toward him. Ahead, a team with about the same number of people as Senior Ma's team was fighting with a team of flame demons. The flame demons here were even stronger, all of them major primal core cultivators. There were even black flame demons that reached the star venerate level, looking incredibly terrifying. Although the opponent's team had great teamwork. However, the attacks of the Star Venerate level Black Flame Demon severely tore apart their formation. Several people died on the spot. Fresh blood seeped out and formed a river. It was a tragic sight. It's Elder Lu's team, Ling Feng said when he clearly saw the person leading the team. Senior Ma and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not a rank 5 sect disciple. Like Senior Ma's team, Senior Lu's team was famous in Dragon Flame City's northern district. However, it was weaker. While the relationship between the two teams was not very good, it was not bad either. So, Senior Ma is here. We are all fellow cultivators of Dragon Flame City. Please help us out. Senior Lu's team was clearly at a disadvantage, suffering unspeakably. Senior Ma said, let's go over and help. Right now, the Dragon City's environment was becoming increasingly complicated. Senior Ma did not think too much before making up his mind. Being able to get a helper would definitely be beneficial for the rest of the journey. Whoosh! 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 With Senior Ma's command, the people of Senior Ma's team immediately flew over to fight the flame demons. Instantly, the pressure on Senior Lu's team decreased significantly. Xiao Chen held the tyrant saber and moved about fearlessly. His army-breaking saber technique became increasingly familiar with it. He slowly showed signs of reaching peak consummation. When he executed it, he moved about fearlessly, appearing extremely tyrannical. The formless might of a tyrant shocked the surroundings, inspiring fear in everyone. What a handsome saber technique! One man and one saber amid a vast army, moving about fearlessly. Wherever the saber points, it breaks everything. How tyrannical! Several people on both sides marveled at Xiao Chen's saber technique when they saw it. Xiao Chen's movement technique was excellent. The fish dragon art allowed him to move about freely in this chaotic battle. Although Xiao Chen killed the enemy ferociously, he did not put himself in danger. However, the truly strong enemy, the Star Venerate level Black Flame Demon, was still dealt with by Senior Ma, Senior Lu, Ling Feng, and the others working together. After a while, both sides worked together and finally chased away this group of flame demons. The Star Venerate level Flame Demon found it hard to fight against so many. It was significantly injured, turned into a clump of flames, and fled in a sorry state. Xiao Chen glanced indifferently at the Black Flame Demon, paying attention to the ground where it fled. That Senior Lu came over and expressed his gratitude to Senior Ma. Then, he generously offered to give all the flame crystals in the Flame Demon's corpse to Senior Ma's team. Senior Ma smiled casually, not being polite. Following that, the upper echelons of both sides started to discuss the alliance. Xiao Chen lost interest. He looked at the ground and entered deep thought. The ground, which had been covered in blood earlier, no longer had many bloodstains left. He found this very strange. Xiao Chen lowered his head and looked at the ground, entering deep thought. Senior Lu, how long has it been since you entered this dragon city? About a day, I guess. This dragon city is very strange. However, everyone feels that there are benefits to be gained, so we persevered. We want to charge into the Flame Demon headquarters and see what the situation is like. The two teams entered at about the same time. Soon, the two teams formed the mysterious phenomenon of an alliance and prepared to attack the Flame Demon headquarters together. Xiao Chen, who was squatting on the ground, thought of something when he heard the conversation between Senior Ma and Senior Lu. Something is strange. I have to make some plans in advance. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he silently vanished from where he was. Then, he chased after the Star Venerate level Flame Demon that Senior Ma and Senior Lu worked together to injure. After a while, Xiao Chen stopped on a wall and calmly stared at the ground below. Hu Qi. Suddenly, a clump of fire appeared on the ground. That injured Star Venerate level Flame Demon coughed a few times, appearing very weak. Resolving the mundane. Xiao Chen did not hesitate to use his strongest killing move, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques resolving the mundane. Since ancient times, the sages and sages were all passers-by. Thousands of years of worldly affairs were all for naught. Let go of the mundane world's worries, see the Buddha in one day, and obtain eternity. Xiao Chen's heart was like dead water. At this moment, he had separated himself from the secular world. His 7 emotions and 6 desires no longer existed. Xiao Chen remained expressionless as he swung his saber. A swastika appeared on his forehead, and a Buddhist light shone. However, it was emotionless, an eternal, inextinguishable saber light. Once one's mortal heart was settled, it would be eternal. The heavily injured flame devil only had time to raise its head and reveal a hint of shock before it was struck by that terrifying saber. He was cleaved into 2 halves and died on the spot. Clang! His body was illuminated by the Buddhist light, and only a strange black flame crystal fell to the ground. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and grabbed it. After killing the enemy with 1 slash, Xiao Chen did not stop moving and took out his carving knife. Then, he quickly started carving on the black flame crystal. His expression was focused, and his heart was as calm as still water. After a while, Xiao Chen perfectly carved the black flame crystal into the shape of a black flame devil. Then, Xiao Chen spat out a mouthful of essence blood for the black flame crystal to absorb. Then, he crushed the many red flame crystals in his hand. Xiao Chen continuously refined them, extracting their essence and infusing them into the black flame crystal sculpture. It was like he was infusing blood into it, making it livelier. All of this happened last night. Xiao Chen put away the exquisite sculpture in his hand and returned, rejoining the team. The 2 teams were currently regrouping. Several cultivators were searching the courtyards in the Dragon City. Xiao Chen's movements did not cause any commotion. Who could have imagined that he would kill a star venerate level flame devil with 1 saber strike? Chapter 1737. Brother Xiao, where did you go earlier? Meng Zhuang, who was on friendly terms with Xiao Chen, asked, finding it strange. Xiao Chen replied calmly, what's wrong? I just discovered an injured flame demon and chased after it to finish it off. Understanding dawned on Meng Zhuang. No wonder I could not find you. Senior Ma and Senior Lu agreed to form an alliance. We will share all the resources and treasures in the surrounding area. Whoever finds them first will get to keep them. Xiao Chen smiled and said, isn't that just nice? There are rules and regulations. Meng Zhuang smiled helplessly and said, it would be great if that was really the case. Even people on a team would get into conflicts, what more 2 teams? At that time, when there is a conflict, the only reliable thing is not the rules but one's own strength. So, Xiao Chen roughly understood why Meng Zhuang sought him out. Meng Zhuang smiled and said, I found a few people to explore together. Do you want to join us? Xiao Chen rejected politely, thank you. However, I'm used to being alone. In that case, I won't disturb you anymore. In reality, Xiao Chen had gained a lot from his earlier search. Xiao Chen possessed the blue dragon bloodline. In this underground dragon city, he was more sensitive to auras than the other cultivators. It was like returning to his own home. He could always be 1 step ahead of others and arrive at the location of the treasures. It was easy to expose some of one's secrets when traveling with others. Some things were also troublesome to explain. Xiao Chen could only reject Meng Zhuang's kind intentions. After searching for a quiet place, Xiao Chen closed his eyes and let his aura spread out in all directions. His aura seemed to merge with the aura spreading out in the ancient dragon city. His probing in all directions was much more precise and meticulous than the others, including Senior Ma. Soon, Xiao Chen found a rough location. Then, he opened his eyes and pushed off with his feet. His figure drifted up. Soon, a courtyard appeared in Xiao Chen's vision. The courtyard was grand and imposing. It should have been the residence of a large clan of the dragon race during the ancient era. After entering, Xiao Chen followed the guidance of an aura and arrived at the back of the courtyard, where a pavilion stood. Treasure Tower. Looking at the few incomplete words on the broken signboard, Xiao Chen revealed a look of joy. The blue dragon bloodline must have been divided into several large families during its most glorious period. Perhaps, this house belonged to one of the great clans. The treasure tower was the foundation of a clan. When the doors were pushed open, all sorts of treasures, flowers, and plants gave off multicolored lights. Surging and pure spiritual energy spread out together with the strong dragon might of the dragon race treasures, instantly attracting the attention of many nearby people. Oh no! Too much time had passed, and the formation that could protect the pavilion from leaking aura had already lost its effectiveness. However, Xiaoqin could not care so much. He looked around, searching for the most useful treasures. Dragon Blood Dan. Xiaoqin soon discovered that the words Dragon Blood Pill were written under a jade bottle. Breaking the seal, Zhang Xian picked up the jade slip and took a look. There were 4 blood-red pills inside, and they emanated a medicinal fragrance. Zhang Xian took a deep breath. Xiaoqin immediately felt the blood in his body surge as energy surged out from his bloodline and spread throughout his body. So, it's a pill that can awaken the power of one's bloodline. Good stuff. Xiaoqin quickly accepted it and continued to observe as fast as he could. Dragon Taming Wood, Ice Crystal Jade, Golden Ink Stone, this is the Dragon Bone Wine. The sharp-eyed Xiaoqin discovered a bottle of wine, and his eyes lit up. Although he did not know what it was, as a wine lover, he quickly went over and broke the seal on the Dragon Bone Wine. If not for the restrictions on everything in this place, Xiaoqin would not have bothered with so many things. He simply swept through the items and took them away. There was no time to think too much. After taking away the treasures that were useful to him, Xiaoqin continued to break the seal, taking away the more valuable treasures. His movements were swift and orderly, showing no signs of panic. Whoosh! 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 3 figures arrived in a flash. They were the first batch of cultivators who had sensed the aura of the treasures. However, at this moment, the treasures that were useful to them or the more valuable natural treasures had already been taken away by Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin had already taken all of them. Although the remaining ones were still very valuable, they could not compare to the one in Xiaoqin's hand. How can it be like this? The aura of the treasures has decreased by more than half. The good things are all gone. Compared to the surging and pure spiritual energy that the 3 sensed at the start, the aura of the treasures was far from it. The 3 could not help but look at Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin glanced at the 3. They were not from his team, so he walked over expressionlessly. You! Stop right there! The person in the middle shouted coldly as he held a sword in his hand, wearing blue robes. Xiaoqin ignored him and continued forward. The blue-clad man immediately showed rage on his face. He thrust his sword at Xiaoqin. Whoosh! Xiaoqin drew the tyrant saber. Before the blue-clad man could fully unleash his sword light, Xiaoqin knocked him back with his saber. Brother Jiang! The blue-clad man's companions were greatly startled. They quickly retreated to help the blue-clad man up and check on his injuries. Whoosh! 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 Just at this moment, Senior Lu and Senior Ma led the elites of their teams over. They had also sensed the surging and pure spiritual energy. However, they were rather far away, so they arrived slightly later. What's going on? Senior Lu quickly asked when he saw someone on his team injured. Senior Lu, he used the Dao tool in his hand to forcefully chase us away from the treasure pavilion and take away the valuable treasures inside. The 3 of us clearly came here first. The blue-clad man looked at Xiaoqin and made a false accusation, placing all the blame on him. He even sneak-attacked Brother Jiang, completely ignoring the team's morality. In any case, no one saw it. The more the 2 spoke, the more outrageous they became. They described Xiaoqin as a shameless person who did not hesitate to sneak-attack others in order to obtain the valuable treasures. Senior Ma frowned slightly. Xiaoqin, what's going on? Xiaoqin replied indifferently, I discovered this place first. Senior Ma sent a voice projection, Xiaoqin, who discovered it is not the key. The key is whether it is true that you obtained the valuable treasures. Xiao Chen felt slightly stunned. However, he quickly understood what Senior Ma meant. Senior Ma wanted a share of the loot and some benefits. Old fogey. Xiao Chen replied coldly, if Senior Ma thinks it is true, then it is true. Senior Ma, there needs to be an explanation for this matter. Senior Lu showed a sullen expression as he led his team over to Xiao Chen's group. Senior Ma felt upset. He had given Xiao Chen a hint, but Xiao Chen did not seem to care. At this moment, Senior Lu stepped forward to question Xiao Chen. Senior Ma retorted indifferently, what explanation do you want? You forgot who saved you so quickly. Furthermore, there is no proof. If I did what Xiao Chen said, why would I ask you for an explanation? While Senior Ma was unhappy, for the sake of maintaining the harmony of the team, he had to stand up for Xiao Chen at this moment. His words immediately caused the atmosphere to become a little tense. Senior Lu knew that his words had no basis and that he could not stand on his own 2 feet. Furthermore, the other party had saved him earlier. For a moment, he was in a dilemma, not knowing how to resolve the situation. Ling Feng tried to mediate, since we have come to an agreement, why don't we each take a step back? We don't want the remaining treasures in the treasure pavilion. With a way out, Elder Lu nodded and said, that's fine too. After Elder Lu and the others entered the treasure pavilion, Elder Ma, Ling Feng, and the others all focused their gazes on Xiao Chen. The meaning was self-evident. We helped you solve your problem, so you should take out some treasures to thank us. Xiao Chen pretended not to know, nodded casually, and left. This guy really doesn't know how to be tactful. One of them looked at Xiao Chen's back and said coldly. Ling Feng shook his head and said, forget it. According to the rules, he indeed has no obligation to hand over the treasure. Senior Ma snorted coldly. Then, he flung his sleeves and left with a sullen expression. How could Xiao Chen not know what these people were thinking? Not to mention the limited number of treasures he could obtain, if he gave each of them a treasure, his pockets would be empty. Even if Xiao Chen really swept through the entire treasure pavilion, he would not take out a single cent to give to these people. Firstly, Xiao Chen did not need the help of Senior Ma and the others to deal with the problem. Secondly, Senior Ma's attitude was simply displeasing. Back then, Senior Ma scammed Xiao Chen of 1 million medial-grade spirit jades for the pure-blood dragon bones. Xiao Chen had long seen through Senior Ma's character. However, he could not do it twice. How could Xiao Chen let Senior Ma scam him again? Chapter 1738. For now, Xiao Chen did not take inventory of his gains. After the decibels of Senior Ma and the others, he sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes, letting his aura merge with the aura of the Dragon City once more. Xiao Chen's perception was like a spiderweb, quickly spreading out into the Dragon City. The limit kept expanding, even wider than when he used his spiritual sense outside. However, Xiao Chen could not see as clearly as with his spiritual sense. He could not see the scene in real time, only vaguely sensing some unique auras. That's it. Soon, Xiao Chen sensed an unusual aura. He did not know if it was a natural treasure or a dragon race treasure. Xiao Chen opened his eyes in anticipation, and his figure flashed over. Sounds of fighting. Just as Xiao Chen approached, he heard the sounds of fighting and could not help frowning. Since someone had beaten him to it, he could not help but speed up and rush over. Xiao Chen happened to see a shocking scene. In front of a cellar, someone knocked Meng Zhuang and the other elite cultivators of Senior Ma's team into the air with one saber strike. They fell to the ground in pain and screamed miserably. What happened? Xiao Chen asked after he landed and helped Meng Zhuang and the others to their feet. After all, Meng Zhuang was someone he was familiar with. Xiao Chen could not possibly feign ignorance after seeing him. There was a horrifying wound on Meng Zhuang's chest. Blood spurted out of the wound uncontrollably. Xiao Chen looked carefully and discovered a strong saber intent containing the will of soul in the wound. Brother Xiao, we clearly discovered the corpse of an ancient mutated beast. However, he snatched it away and even injured us. Meng Zhuang's eyes flashed with horror as he pointed at the person in front while clutching his wound. Xiao Chen glanced around. The person in front was the bamboo hat bladesman who called himself Ananda. This bladesman wore a conical bamboo hat that covered his face. He wore tight clothes and long robes, making it impossible to make out his figure. There is no need to be so heavy-handed when you make a move, right? Xiao Chen asked softly. He is just asking for it. You can't blame others. The conical bamboo hat bladesman's voice, which had clearly been altered, rang out. He looked deeply at Xiao Chen through the conical bamboo hat before drifting away. Xiao Chen did not give chase. There was no need to fight to the death with this bamboo hat bladesman. After all, the opponent's strength was there for all to see. Let me send you back, Xiao Chen said as he turned around. Naturally, Meng Zhuang and the others had no complaints. After seeing the strength of this bamboo hat bladesman, they would not blame Xiao Chen for not making a move. It was already good enough that he could waste his time and send them back. Returning to the team's gathering point, there were quite a number of injured people. He only found out after asking around. It turned out that the bamboo hat bladesman had injured them. However, although he was ruthless, he did not kill them. After Senior Ma asked everyone cautiously, he said, "This Ananda seems to know his limits. After you see him, do not make a move on him." Those who were injured couldn't stand the fact that their treasures had been stolen, so they attacked out of anger. There was no case of the bamboo hat bladesman taking the initiative to attack. The two teams did not dare to declare war on Ananda, so they could only reduce the problem to a small one. After resting for 2 hours, the two teams worked together and headed for the Flame Demon Tribe's headquarters at the same time. In the following 8 hours, the two teams worked together to kill the many Flame Demon teams. The two teams arrived at a vast dragon race plaza in the vast ancient dragon city. The dragon race plaza was at least 50 kilometers wide. There was an incredibly mysterious formation in the middle. A 300-meter-long pillar was stuck in the center of the formation. The pillar soared into the sky, exuding a strong might and pressure. It was ancient and experienced the baptism of time, accumulating an incredibly heavy might and pressure. A clump of ethereal black flame hovered above the pillar, looking exceptionally strange. Blue Dragon Totem. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. He immediately recognized that 300-meter-long pillar as the Blue Dragon Totem. Faux God Flame. Unlike Xiao Chen, Senior Ma, Senior Lu, Leng Feng, and the others immediately stared at the flame drifting above the pillar. That black flame seemed to be something between solid and incorporeal. It was like it had a magical power, attracting everyone's attention. The surroundings fell silent, not even the sound of breathing could be heard. Several people walked towards the Blue Dragon Totem in a daze. Hallucinations appeared in their eyes. The various desires that they normally hid in the depths of their hearts appeared in their eyes. Their thoughts ranged from success and fame, to obtaining a powerful cultivation technique, to being conferred a noble title or king. These people showed strange smiles as they walked forward step by step. Stop! Senior Ma, who struggled out of the illusion, shouted, his expression changing slightly. It was like a sudden clap of thunder resounding in the surroundings. Immediately, many people felt their souls suffer a heavy blow, and blood leaked out of a corner of their lips. These people suddenly startled awake. When they saw their own actions, they were startled and quickly moved back. However, there were still a few people who were not strong enough. Their desires were too deep, and they could not struggle free. The moment he stepped onto the mysterious formation, his 3 souls and 7 physical souls were extracted from his body. It floated towards the black flames and was burned to ashes. His body was sucked dry by the formation, turning into a pool of blood and disappearing. As their souls were extracted and their bodies absorbed by the array formation, the black flames on the Blue Dragon Totem seemed to become even more lustrous. The corpses and souls of these people were treated as delicacies, and he swallowed them whole. So. The group of people immediately felt a deep lingering fear, and hurriedly sped up, retreating all the way. Only after he left the square did he feel slightly at ease. How could this be? Senior Ma, Senior Lu, and the others turned pale with fright. Their expressions turned grave, but their gazes did not leave the black flames. Xiaochen found this strange as well. He had not expected to run into the legendary foe god flame here. After the Cloud Sea realm was the Divine Vein realm. After the Divine Vein realm was the Void God realm. The physical body of a foe god had already become a physical body. All they lacked was an immortal soul to become a true god. Their lifespan was practically limitless. Their strength had already reached an incredible, heaven-defying level. Words alone could no longer describe the horror of a foe god. Just the Divine Vein realm was already out of reach for the people here. They needed to raise their heads and look up. Foe gods were even more so. The so-called foe god flame was a special existence. If one wanted to advance from the Divine Vein realm to the foe god realm, one had to light a divine flame in their body. This flame was the foe god flame. These people did not know how to light a divine flame. However, the importance of the foe god flame was like that of a nascent soul to a true cultivator. If the nascent soul was extinguished, the true cultivator would die for sure. If the divine flame was extinguished, the so-called undying foe gods would disappear from this world. I really did not expect there to be a young flame where the flame demon tribes gathered. Who could have expected it to be the legendary foe god flame? This is incredible. However, this foe god flame is almost extinguished. It can't even send out its divine might. There is something wrong with this foe god flame. It seems to have a demonic nature. I suspect that those flame devil tribes are actually all under its control. Senior Ma and the others discussed cautiously. As they looked at the foe god flame, greed flashed in their eyes. Everyone wanted to obtain the foe god flame. However, they did not dare to act rashly, afraid of losing their lives. Xiaochen squatted down and reached out to touch the floor of the plaza. His expression turned grave. Indeed, as Xiaochen expected, there was something wrong with this place. There was an even larger formation under the plaza. The blood of the people who died in the city earlier eventually flowed to the mysterious formation in the center of the plaza. Xiaochen stood up and asked Senior Lu, "How did you discover the underground dragon city?" Senior Lu did not like Xiaochen. He retorted coldly, "What does it have to do with you? The upper echelons are discussing. It is not your place to interrupt." Xiaochen smiled faintly. "Even if you don't tell me, I know. Did you discover azure-colored dragon chi on the surface? Did you send people to search and find the entrance?" Senior Lu's expression changed slightly, clearly finding this strange. Xiaochen was clearly asking how Xiaochen knew. "Xiaochen, Senior Lu and I still have important matters to discuss. Rest at the side first and await further instructions." Senior Ma frowned slightly. He was not willing to see Xiaochen, so he waved his hand and sent Xiaochen away. Xiaochen did not say anything. He smiled coldly in his heart and moved to the side. "How dare you barge into the Holy Land? All of you deserve death." Just at this moment, a majestic figure descended from the sky and landed heavily on the plaza. This figure had pitch-black skin and wore ancient black armor with dragon motifs. He held a spear in his hand and radiated a terrifying dragon might. The spear swept through the air, and the entire plaza suddenly lit up with a loud boom. Clumps of flames soared up from the countless stone pillars in the Dragon Race Plaza spanning 50 kilometers. Each clump of flame was a red flame demon. This seemingly empty plaza was, in fact, the lair of the flame demon tribes. The expressions of Senior Ma and the others immediately changed. The number of flame demons exceeded their expectations. Chapter 1739. Countless red flame demons landed on the ground and surrounded the mysterious formation, forming an impenetrable defense. With a rough estimate, there were more than 1,000 of them. With Senior Ma and Senior Lu's teams combined, there were only slightly more than 100 people under them. There was also that mysterious black-armored cultivator. His eyes shone with a frightening black flame. He was tall and stout, at least 3 meters tall. As he stood in the center, he held a spear in his hand, exuding a tyrannical air that overlooked everything. That is a middle-stage star venerate. Senior Ma's face sank slightly as he looked at that black-armored cultivator. His voice trembled somewhat. An early-stage star venerate and a middle-stage star venerate were two completely different levels, a world of difference. Senior Ma was well aware of this difference. He had been stuck at early-stage star venerate for more than 100 years already, unable to cross this hurdle. Aside from that, there were 10-odd elites among the 1,000-odd red flame demons. The auras they gave off rivaled those of star venerates, not weaker at all. As Xiao Qin looked at that black-armored cultivator, he felt startled. The other party actually had dragon might. That was bona fide dragon might, not the dragon might brought out by some cultivation technique, martial technique, or profound tool. Instead, it was a genuine dragon might that came from his bloodline. Is he a member of the dragon race? However, that does not feel like it. That dragon might also contained many evil auras that were not pure at all. It was extremely strange. This place is becoming increasingly strange. Xiao Qin somewhat wanted to linger here. However, the blue dragon totem in the middle of the formation was hard to ignore. Xiao Qin was already certain that this place had something to do with the blue dragon bloodline. As the last person of the blue dragon bloodline, Xiao Qin could not leave here, no matter what. There should be other factions involved. Senior Lu's and Senior Ma's teams discovered the underground dragon city because of the dragon chi. This was definitely not a coincidence. This faux god flame tainted with a demonic nature purposely leaked the dragon chi. Otherwise, why had no one discovered this dragon city in the past tens of thousands of years? Why did it get discovered so easily? There had to be other factions that discovered the dragon chi by chance. Then, they thought that they got lucky and got lured into the dragon city. As Xiao Qin guessed, the sound of intense fighting suddenly came from the other side of the plaza. Kill! A thunderous roar resounded. The lineup of that group was even stronger than Senior Ma's and Senior Lu's teams combined. He entered the dragon city from another direction, then killed his way over and entered the dragon clan plaza. Upon seeing the nearly extinguished faux god flame, Xiao Qin immediately charged over without hesitation. Help is coming. Senior Ma and Senior Lu exchanged looks with one another, joy on their faces. At this time, the helper that came to kill was really a great help. When the strange black-armored cultivator saw the forces charging at him, his lips curled up in a cruel smile. Dragon God's Light. Xiao Qin swung his spear, and a dragon image came out of the black faux god flame. After the dragon's shadow circled once, it turned into a ray of light and shot out. When the red flame devils below were hit by this wave of light, they instantly turned into black flame devils, and their strength doubled. Damn it, what's going on? The group, which was originally full of vigor and murderous intent, was immediately thrown into chaos. Waves of miserable shrieks rang out. Pear Blossom Storm. The young disciple leading the group swung his sword, and the cold energy at the tip of his sword became extremely concentrated. The cold energy turned into thin ice needles that filled the sky, looking like a torrential rain. The ice needles shot out in rings, looking like a blooming pear blossom. The thin ice needles pierced several flame devils, and their movements immediately turned chaotic. Cold chi spread out, and a thin layer of ice covered their surfaces. Retreat! The young swordsman shouted coldly the moment he executed his killing move. That group of people quickly took the opportunity to retreat. Crack! Crack! In the next moment, the frozen flame devils recovered. The few cultivators who could not retreat in time died miserably on the spot. This powerful team had lost more than a dozen martial artists in a single exchange. The young swordsman's expression turned scarily sullen. Clearly, he could not accept such a loss. After the group retreated from the plaza, the black-armored cultivator controlled the flame devils to retreat as well, not giving chase. It's the disciples of the rank 5 Snow Sword Palace. Senior Ma and Senior Lu recognized this group of people at the same time, and their expressions changed slightly. The other side is a fellow cultivator from Dragon Flame City. I am the Snow Sword Palace's true inheritor, Huang Puqi. I brought my junior brothers here on experiential training. Can we work together and break this place? Just as Senior Ma and Senior Lu hesitated, the young swordsman's voice rang out. If you want to work together, count me in. The bamboo hat bladesman said coldly as he flew out from a corner of the plaza. He seemed to have arrived long ago. All right, count you in. The Snow Sword Palace's Huang Puqi could tell with one glance that this bamboo hat bladesman's strength could not be underestimated, so he immediately agreed. Senior Ma and Senior Lu immediately felt a mountain-like pressure. At this moment, they had no choice but to agree. If they did not agree, when these two sides worked together to break this flame demon formation, they would not be able to say anything. The various factions immediately reached a simple consensus. They agreed to work together to deal with this group of flame devils. Then, they would discuss how to split the faux god flame and the blue dragon totem. After resting for a while, the various factions charged in together. With three factions working together with the mysterious bamboo hat bladesman, their strength naturally could not be underestimated. The members of Senior Lu's and Senior Ma's teams were the outstanding talents of the nearby dozens of clusters. At the very least, they were on the same level as Shangguan Lei. As for the Snow Sword Palace, their strength went without saying. They were disciples of a rank 5 sect. Every grade in a sect was like a layer of heaven, like the difference between clouds and mud. An intense battle could break out at any moment. To catch bandits, first catch the ringleader. The Snow Sword Palace's Huang Puqi fixed his gaze on the tall, mysterious, and unfathomable black-armored cultivator. Then, he thrust his sword over. The bamboo hat bladesman, Senior Ma, and Senior Lu, the strongest four, worked together to fight the flame demon. The other cultivators worked together to fight the flame demon. The eyes of the cultivators who entered the plaza turned scarlet, all of them burning with true rage. Some of them even went berserk. The black flame on the totem seemed both solid and illusory, flickering with a strange light. It was like a cold eyeball, coldly watching the battle below. Xiaoqin did his best to maintain a calm state of mind aside from protecting himself. The situation turned increasingly strange and chaotic, leaving him somewhat helpless and at a loss as to what to do. As the battle continued, there were casualties and blood flowed everywhere. No one noticed that the formation in the center of the plaza absorbed all the blood that fell to the ground. However, the people in the intense battle could not care about this. The faux god flame bewitched them, triggering the desire and murderous intent in their hearts. As the cultivators with great desolate Ian bloodlines activated their bloodlines, the atmosphere of the intense battle slowly reached a climax. Why did the human cultivators still have such confidence despite being outnumbered? The main reason was that most of the cultivators here had great desolate Ian bloodlines. After activating their bloodlines, their strength multiplied. Kill! 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 After fighting for half a day, the number of flame demons dropped from the original 1,000 to 300. Then, the human cultivators fell into a complete disadvantage. The human cultivators fought with all their might, becoming more valiant as they fought. They no longer held back their various killing moves. Shock waves surged in the plaza, resounding endlessly. Mysterious phenomena appeared. Wind, fire, thunder, and lightning roared ferociously. The 1,000-odd flame demons finally died out. The Dragon Race Plaza was littered with rare black flame crystals. However, no one bothered to pick them up. At the same time, the black-armored cultivator held up his spear and entered the formation, his body riddled with wounds. Huang Puqi, the bamboo hat bladesman, Senior Ma, and Senior Lu were in poor states as well, all of them significantly injured. After paying a heavy price, the human cultivators finally managed to force the flame demons into the formation. With the three clans working together, the human cultivators finally gained the upper hand. Humph! If you are smart, scram quickly. Otherwise, I will take your life the next time. The Snow Sword Palace's Huangpu Qi stood outside the formation, coldly eyeing the black-armored cultivator and the final 100 flame demons. The black-armored cultivator laughed, ha ha ha. The dragon god is about to appear. I will let you all suffer the rage of the dragon god first, the rage of the dragon god. Whoosh! The strange foe god flame above the blue dragon totem flickered ferociously, and a divine might burst out. Rumble. Everyone present, including Xiao Chen, was caught off guard, suffering a heavy blow to their chests. Xiao Chen vomited a mouthful of blood as he got knocked back. This was a complete suppression of strength. No one could block it or break it, only passively accepting it. Chapter 1740. Huangpu Qi and the others got knocked into the air again. This time, they were even more severely injured than the first time. Dragon God's Rage. Seeing the black-armored cultivator flee, the others' expressions immediately changed. This black-armored cultivator could control the foe god flame. He definitely had a big secret on him. Kill. These people were all-star venerate level experts, especially Huangpu Qi, a true inheritor of a rank 5 sect. Everyone could guess that this item had a strong connection to the foe god flame. A miserable shriek rang out. This saber strike struck the black-armored cultivator first. More importantly, that foe god flame gave off a divine might. Senior Ma and the others were not willing to fall behind. Fearing that the black-armored cultivator would snatch away the foe god flame after he died, they all followed. When the middle stage star venerate black-armored cultivator worked together, he was not a match for them. After all, he was not like the sect disciples who knew so many martial techniques, grasped Dao tools, and had all sorts of trump cards. Xiao Chen, hand it to me. That saber strike layered hell in the mortal world, showing a tyrannical attitude of controlling hell and life and death. Rumble. The injured people closed their eyes and treated their injuries. No one cared about Xiao Chen, who was moving stealthily. Their bodies stiffened, and their movements slowed. They showed pained expressions, and frost covered their lips. Boom! The foe god flame's divine might reappeared. Ice ceiling chop. After a moment of shock, Senior Ma revealed joy on his face. It was someone from his team. After harvesting 1,000 black blaze crystals, Xiao Chen revealed a smile. He looked around before arriving at a shadowy place in a flash. This old man still had a killing move that I had not used earlier. When my veritable essence energy recovers, I will make my move. After activating the foe god flame, Rang, who was in the formation, vomited large mouthfuls of blood. His aura weakened continuously. What should I do? This black-armored cultivator can actually communicate with the power of the foe god flame. It will be somewhat problematic to kill him like this. 8 strands of sword chi connected from head to tail formed a horrifying ice sword chi seal, pressing towards the black-armored cultivator. The bamboo hat bladesman released a dark light from his body. Then, he gently swung his saber. Under the awe of the divine might, only a few people were able to remain standing after being sent flying. An incomparably terrifying killing intent radiated from his body. It was an extremely cold and emotionless killing intent. Before the black-armored cultivator, who had fled far away, could continue fleeing, his head suddenly flew off. Kill. I don't believe that there are no side effects when he controls the foe god flame. The 3 factions gathered the people who could still fight and discussed how to kill the black-armored cultivator. Prepare to attack. There was also the hidden bamboo hat bladesman, who no one could figure out. He was equally terrifying. Huangpu Qi and the others gathered together. Their expressions were grave as they discussed in low voices. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber. Then, he stretched out his hand and grasped the item. Dragon scale? This time, everyone was determined to kill the black-armored martial artist. His accumulations and strength were much deeper than Senior Ma's and Senior Lu's. The black-armored cultivator seemed to have gone crazy. After he got up, he suddenly fled, shouting non-stop. Cracks appeared on the black-armored cultivator's tough skin, Black blood leaked out as he shrieked miserably. Huangpu Qi was somewhat distracted as he watched. He did not dare to imagine that the bamboo hat bladesman could send out such a saber strike. This move of Huangpu Qi forcefully brought out 30% of the Dao tool's might. Then, he used it together with his horrifying sword intent. He brought out a heaven-ranked divine skill that was second only to the primogenitor grade cultivation technique and its derivative cultivation techniques. He perfectly merged the ice great Dao with his sword intent. After that, they discussed how to split the foe god flame. This saber strike covered up all the ice covering the entire plaza. The entire dragon race plaza shook even more intensely, and terrifying cracks appeared. Pu Ci. Just at this moment, Shaoqun moved silently. He swept away all the black flame crystals that no one was paying attention to. It was weakening at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, after Shaoqun landed, he did not fall either. It's you. This attack contained a lot of dragon might. Its destructive power could not be as great as that of the others. Acting all mysterious. There are no longer any gods or demons in this world. Speak. Where exactly are you from? Everyone fell to the ground. No one was spared. Even the cultivators treating their injuries in the periphery of the plaza were affected. Naturally, those who could remain standing were all peak experts who were equal to Star Venerates or as strong as Star Venerates themselves. The dragon god is about to appear. The dragon god is about to appear. When Huangpu Qi swung his saber, it was like hell reappeared in the mortal world. The pitch-black saber light layered over the void. This saber strike was like the 18 layers of purgatory shooting out. The black-armored cultivator, who had just struggled free of the 8 strands of sword qi, could not resist in time. He got knocked back again, step by step. At the same time, Senior Ma, Senior Lu, Leng Feng, Xiahou Feng, and the Snow Sword Palace core disciples all unleashed their killing moves. Standing outside the blood formation, Huangpu Qi swung his sword in reverse and knocked the black-armored cultivator, who was at the end of his rope, into the blue dragon totem. Anyone who could obtain the foe god flame would naturally reach the heavens in one step. That was a great fortuitous encounter that could change anyone's fate. Just like that, Huangpu Qi silently collected thousands of precious black flame crystals. However, that black-armored cultivator was even more severely injured. Seeing Shaoqun suddenly charge out and obtain the mysterious item, Huangpu Qi and the others rushed over in a fluster. They wanted to snatch that foe god flame at the last moment. The terror of this move was startling, inspiring fear in Senior Ma and Senior Lu. Severing the 7 emotions, severing the 6 desires, turning into an Azura, materializing hell in the mortal world. Azura hell. The black-armored cultivator took out a carving knife and focused, starting to carve seriously. Shaoqun raised his eyebrows and said playfully, "Why should I hand it to you? Just because you cheated me of 1 million medial-grade spirit jades? Or to repay your earlier threat to take my treasures?" The black-armored cultivator staggered, and black blood spurted out of his body. Senior Ma, Senior Lu, the bamboo hat bladesman, Leng Feng, Xiahou Feng, Huangpu Qi, and a few elites of the rank 5 sect, the Snow Sword Palace, all fell apart. The armor on the black-armored cultivator's body shattered into pieces, completely destroyed. However, the black-armored cultivator could actually use the energy of the foe god flame. This was somewhat difficult to deal with. Before the 8 strands of sword qi connected from end to end landed, cold qi already invaded the black-armored cultivator's body. At this moment, everyone who could fight followed Huangpu Qi to surround and attack the black-armored cultivator. Indeed, he cannot keep using the energy of the foe god flame. If he does it again, he will definitely die. Seal. Half a day later, everyone returned to their peak states. Huangpu Qi recovered his wits and withdrew his sword. Then, the 8 strands of sword qi containing the ice great Dao ruthlessly pressed down. In that instant, the tyrannical Huangpu Qi snorted coldly and took the lead to charge over. Unexpectedly, the foe god flame is still so mighty even though it is nearly extinguished. After a while, a black object fell from the sky. Ka-sie. Huangpu Qi's expression turned solemn as his long hair fluttered. Suddenly, 8 strands of ice sword qi connected from end to end appeared behind him. The sword in Huangpu Qi's hand hummed in the air, and a hazy sword intent surged out in all directions. The icy sword qi continuously killed the black-armored cultivator, completely sealing him at the same time. The entire plaza shook intensely. Ice and snow fell, and a chill assaulted everyone. Then, the black-armored cultivator knelt on the ground and smiled coldly as he looked at the crowd. The dragon god is about to appear. All of you will suffer the rage of the dragon god. The black-armored cultivator's entire body turned into a burning black flame. However, no one expected the hidden bamboo hat bladesman to follow up with an even more terrifying saber move. No one could resist the temptation of the faux god flame. After him. He is going to flee. The bamboo hat formed a terrifying seal, trying to suppress the black-armored cultivator. It was a black dragon scale that looked incredibly heavy and gave off an ancient aura. When Huangpu Qi saw this scene, he could not help rejoicing. At this moment, Senior Ma and Senior Lu also slowly got to their feet, a brilliant light shining in their eyes. The black-armored cultivator's expression remained normal, not even a drop of blood on his lips. He had already condensed all the dragon bones in his body. His defense already rivaled that of a star venerates, perhaps even stronger. The black-armored cultivator knocked into the air and fell to the ground, severely injured and unable to continue fighting. After a moment of silence, the bamboo hat bladesman said, "Even if we do it again, I will not hold back." Senior Ma felt stifled. He could not help trembling in anger. Then, he pointed at Xiao Chen and said, "You have to hand it over whether you want to or not." The ice attributed great Dao energy from the Dao tool in Xiao Chen's hand spread out in all directions. Then, it ferociously gathered on the sword. Xiao Chen could only close his eyes and rest, treating his injuries where he stood. The snow sword palace's Huangpu Qi stood up. The saber in his hand flickered with a crystalline cold light. What saber technique is this? It looks like it's about to be extinguished. I'm afraid it won't be extinguished within 100 years. Chapter 1741. Senior Ma felt flustered and exasperated. He could not help showing a ferocious side, threatening Xiao Chen. Interesting. You are sneaking around here, waiting for us to fight this black-armored cultivator until we are half dead, but you hide here and take advantage of us. Do you think that you, an insignificant major primal core venerate, can take advantage of us? Senior Lu chimed in from the side, showing a mocking expression as he looked at Xiao Chen. Young man, don't use your cleverness on this. Any one of us can smack you to death with one slap. Be wise and quickly hand over that thing. Huangpu Qi and the others showed calm expressions as they looked coldly at Xiao Chen. They did not care about Xiao Chen at all. He was just a major primal core venerate, and yet he wanted to take advantage of us. He should first look at his own capabilities first. Leng Feng frowned and said, "Brother Xiao, now is not the time for you to be willful. If you do not shout now, young Master Huangpu Qi will get angry later. Senior Ma and I will not be able to protect you." As Xiao Chen looked at these people, he revealed a smile. Who should I hand it to? What nonsense. Of course, me. Senior Ma said bluntly without even thinking about it. Right after Senior Ma spoke, he felt that something was wrong. A few hostile gazes landed on Senior Ma. This was especially so for Huangpu Qi. An indistinct killing chi flashed in his eyes, sending a chill down Senior Ma's spine. Senior Ma quickly changed the topic, saying, "Hand it to us for safekeeping. In any case, it cannot remain in your hands." Who are you? I'm asking who to hand it to. As Xiao Chen looked at Senior Ma, the playful smile on his face did not diminish. Huangpu Qi coughed discreetly, making his presence known. His junior brothers behind him immediately said, "Of course, hand it to our senior brother. Our senior brother is the Snow Sword Palace's true inheritor. He is the strongest and contributed the most." Who else is more suitable than him? Whoever dares to compete with our senior brother is opposing the Snow Sword Palace. The common enemy was dead, and internal strife arose. At this moment, human nature showed itself without a doubt. Upon hearing what the Snow Sword Palace disciples said, Ling Feng and the others showed uncomfortable expressions. You speak as though we did not contribute at all, Xiahou Feng said indifferently. Strongest? Ha! The bamboo hat blades man laughed coldly, full of mockery. Xiao Chen looked on coldly, sneering in his heart. He had long known that this group of people would not be united. Young Master Huangpu, I think this guy is here to make fun of us and cause a fight between us. Why don't we just kill it and make a conclusion about the mysterious item? Killing intent flashed in old Ma's eyes as he suddenly spoke. The argument immediately stopped, and everyone's gaze returned to Xiao Chen. They suddenly realized that this guy was a little too calm. With just a few words, he managed to divert the conflict. His means were not ordinary. Xiao. All of a sudden, old Ma's figure moved. His entire body was overflowing with killing intent as he directly attacked Xiao Chen. He soared into the air and struck out with his palm, causing a strong gust of wind to blow. The might of a star venerate ruthlessly surged towards Xiao Chen. When the palm strike landed, it was like a mountain pressing down on Xiao Chen. Combined with the aura of a star venerate, this sudden attack looked boundlessly tyrannical. In everyone's eyes, it looked like Xiao Chen would be smashed into meat paste in the next moment, dying without a complete corpse. Xiao Chen smiled coldly, and his figure wavered. In the next moment, he suddenly turned into a 3-kilometer-tall giant. Buddhist major magic skill, Dermic World. This greatly startled Huangpu Qi and the others. They retreated in a fluster. Old Ma was immediately stupefied. Xiao Chen's figure suddenly vanished from his vision, and a wall appeared in front of him. When Old Ma looked up, before he could react to what was going on, Xiao Chen ruthlessly kicked him down. Rumble. Loud sounds rang out endlessly, and the entire plaza shook. A terrifying aura spread out from Xiao Chen's body. This flabbergasted Huangpu Qi and the others. They had not expected Xiao Chen to have such a killing move. By the time Xiao Chen recovered his original form, Old Ma was already lying half dead on the ground. All the bones in his body were shattered, and he was in so much pain that he wanted to die. If not for Old Ma being a star venerate, after Xiao Chen executed Dermic World, this kick would have taken his life. Old fogey, you are not stupid. However, you think too highly of yourself. Xiao Chen kicked again, mercilessly sending Old Ma flying. Just at this moment, something strange happened. Severely injured but not dead, Old Ma used all his might in the air and flipped around ferociously. Old Ma's entire body was covered in blood and wounds, looking very miserable. Old Ma's repulsive old face now looked even uglier. He looked at Xiao Chen crazily and said, "Die for this old man." Boom! The will of soul from a star venerate shot out from Old Ma's forehead. Immediately, an invisible will merged with the world, carrying a supreme might as it surged towards Xiao Chen. Under the impact of this will of soul, the floor of the Dragon Race Plaza exploded and went flying back. Ka-xie! Ka-xie! The will of soul pressed towards Xiao Chen step by step. Xiao Chen's face sank. He did not dare to be careless. The will of soul of a star venerate entered the depths of the soul. The will of soul was the greatest reliance of a star venerate. Before advancing to star venerate, there was practically no means that could resist it. This had forced Xiao Chen into a sorry state many times in the past. Xiao Chen had long since comprehended the might of the will of soul. However, this time, he did not believe it. Xiao Chen pushed back with his right foot and ferociously stabbed the tyrant saber's scabbard into the ground with one hand. Dang! The moment the scabbard stabbed into the ground, 2 Dao discs appeared behind Xiao Chen. One was the saber Great Dao, and the other was the tyrant saber's Thunder Dao. The saber Great Dao. Startled cries immediately rang out. No one expected Xiao Chen to have comprehended a complete Tao already. Furthermore, it was the saber great Tao that many bladesmen dreamed of. A look of envy flashed in Huang Puqi's eyes. Huang Puqi relied on a Tao tool to comprehend his ice Tao. Even now, he had not comprehended the sword Tao. Now, in this insignificant place, he actually saw an unknown minor character comprehend the saber great Tao, which was even harder to comprehend. This was simply incredible. As a true inheritor of a rank 5 sect, Huang Puqi had not even comprehended the sword Tao. The two Tao might layered over each other and merged into one, clashing with that terrifying will of soul. The Tao might clashed with the will of soul, but it was still slightly weaker. However, that was a will of soul that no one under Star Venerate could block. In the end, Xiao Chen forcefully blocked it. Qi! Qi! Xiao Chen moved back step by step, continuously drawing a crack in the ground with the scabbard. Xiao Chen clenched his teeth, and the 206 dragon bones in his body crackled like a dragon roar. The blue dragon's dragon might surged out, supported by the two Tao might. The berserk dragon might felt humiliated, and it roared uncontrollably. Bang! The terrifying will of soul exploded and directly scattered. Senior Ma, who was in the air, vomited another mouthful of blood as he went flying back. His eyes filled with disbelief. How can this be? To think that someone under Star Venerate can block the will of soul. That is the will of a Star Venerate, compatible with the world and carrying the power of the universe. When Senior Ma landed, he had lost all combat prowess. He was at a loss, feeling horrified. Clap! Clap! Huang Puqi suddenly clapped his hands and smiled. Not bad. You can defeat a Star Venerate with the strength of a major primal core Venerate. That is admirable. However, Xiao Chen, that is all you can do, right? Seeing Xiao Chen's strenuous appearance, Huang Puqi believed that Xiao Chen had already reached his limits. If that were all, then Xiao Chen would not pose any true threat to Huang Puqi. Hand over that dragon scale. Otherwise, you will definitely die today. Huang Puqi said sullenly, changing the topic. Huang Puqi had already lost his patience. His jealousy of Xiao Chen had already turned into murderous intent. If Xiao Chen dared to say no, Huang Puqi would immediately attack and kill Xiao Chen without hesitation. Who knew? Xiao Chen did not even look at Huang Puqi. Xiao Chen shifted his gaze and looked at the center of the formation, at the blue dragon totem and the foe god flame above. Holding the black dragon scale, Xiao Chen could clearly feel that the previous owner of the foe god flame was a senior of his blue dragon bloodline. Furthermore, Xiao Chen could feel that the remnant will in the flame was suffering the most intense pain in the world, suffering at every moment. The source of all sin was in the black dragon scale in Xiao Chen's hand. Xiao Chen wanted to save this senior of the blue dragon bloodline, to stop it from suffering. You are seeking death. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not even look at him, Huang Puqi flew into a rage. He drew his sword, and ice and snow flew everywhere as a cold intent surged out. Scram! Rage flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. Without even looking, he waved his hand and instantly completed the life bestowal spell. Whoosh! 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 More than 1,000 black flame demons appeared in that instant, appearing like phantoms as they blocked Huang Puqi's path. The flames burning on the flame demons and the evil aura spreading out told Huang Puqi that all this was not an illusion. More than 1,000 strong black flame demons that rivaled Star Venerates stood before Huang Puqi. Huang Puqi paled in fright. Before he completed his killing move, he withdrew his sword and retreated. Chapter 1742. The sudden appearance of over 1,000 black flame demons gave Huang Puqi a fright. No matter how strong he was, he did not dare to lose his temper when facing so many black flame demons. Most importantly, he could not make out the depths of these flame demons, so he did not dare to gamble. It was not just Huang Puqi. Senior Lu, Leng Feng, and the others were startled as well. They simply could not figure out why the black flame demons, which had clearly been killed, suddenly appeared. Furthermore, they were controlled by Xiao Chen. Puppet techniques. There were many knowledgeable people here who muttered to themselves. There were 3,000 great Daos and 800 heretical Daos. Puppet techniques were heretical Daos. They were extremely rare and hard to cultivate. However, once one succeeded in cultivating them, one would undoubtedly be a peak expert. It would not be an exaggeration to say that one could fight against 10 or 100 alone. However, the problem was that no matter how one looked at it, Xiao Chen did not look like someone who cultivated puppet techniques. There were very few sects in the world that understood puppet techniques. All of them were hidden sections. Since it was a heretical Daos, after one cultivated them, one would naturally reveal an aura different from that of a regular cultivator. It was very obvious. For example, that bamboo hat blades man gave off an evil aura. With one look, it was clear that he was not a righteous Dao cultivator. However, Xiao Chen was upright and upright. He had a withdrawn aura, a sharp light, and clear eyes. No one could tell that he was someone who cultivated unorthodox Daos at all. However, no matter what, Xiao Chen's move had indeed shocked them. This was especially so for Huang Puqi. He, who was originally very confident, now paled. His right hand, which held his sword, trembled slightly. The flame demon's killing intent locked onto him. Others could not feel the pressure that he faced. Xiao Chen, we can talk things over. There is no need for us to shed all pretense of cordiality and fight to the death. Huang Puqi finally showed weakness as he looked at Xiao Chen and said to the 1,000-odd flame demons pressing in. Did you not hear what I said? Xiao Chen asked coldly, not bothering to look at him. When the flame demons materialized from the life bestowal spell reached a certain number, their might would inevitably weaken. The consumption of magic power in the sea of consciousness was also very large. However, no matter how weak Xiao Chen was, he was still a major primal core venerate. No matter how drained he was, he could last for an hour. Xiao Chen used the black flame demon to materialize the yin-yang saber formation. It was more than enough to kill Huang Puqi. Moreover, besides the black flame demon, there was also Xiao Chen himself. Huang Puqi had no chance of winning at all. If he did not beg for mercy, only death awaited him. The expression in Huang Puqi's eyes flickered as he felt aggrieved. A ball of fire burned in his heart, but he did not dare to vent it. Xiao Chen's meaning was obvious. He wanted him to get lost. When had a true inheritor of the Snow Sword Palace suffered such humiliation? Xiao Chen, I, Huang Puqi, will settle this debt with you sooner or later. Let's go. Huang Puqi's face alternated between red and white as he led the remaining 10-odd Snow Sword Palace disciples away. Xiao Chen's gaze swept across Senior Lu, Ling Feng, Xiahou Feng, and the others. His meaning was clear. The people of the Snow Sword Palace are already gone. There is no need for you people to remain here. This was a silent threat, but no one dared to disobey. Senior Ma was severely injured and weak, no longer able to fight. Senior Lu's team was not strong in the first place. In the first few rounds of fighting, they had suffered heavy casualties. If Senior Lu's team wanted to fight this black flame demon again, they would not be confident. They were not confident. Xiao Chen, I hope that you never return to Dragon Flame City in this lifetime. Ling Feng said indifferently as he looked at Xiao Chen. The threat in his words went without saying. Xiao Chen retorted calmly, there is no need for you to worry about that. Soon, Ling Feng led the people of Senior Ma's team away. Senior Lu's team quickly followed. Soon, the vicinity of the Dragon Race Plaza became deserted, leaving only Xiao Chen and, the bamboo hat bladesman had not left. You are not leaving? Xiao Chen asked indifferently as he looked at the bamboo hat bladesman. The bamboo hat bladesman replied softly, they left because they do not understand what you are thinking and what you are seeking. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Then, he looked at the bamboo hat bladesman and said, the profound light temples Jin Yuan, there is no need to beat around the bush. When you executed that Azura hell, I knew who you were. Good eyes. The bamboo hat bladesman smiled faintly and took off his bamboo hat, revealing a bald head and a stern face. If this was not the profound Light Temple's traitor, who else could it be? Although Xiao Chen had already guessed it, when he saw the other party's appearance, he still felt slightly shocked. Unexpectedly, this Xin Yuan had hidden himself so deeply. Actually, you could have broken through to the Cloud Sea realm long ago, right? Xiao Chen asked calmly as he looked at the other party. Many years ago, Zhen Yuan was already the strongest of the Grave Sea's youths, firmly suppressing Shengguan Lei and Wang Yueming. As for Wang Yueming and Shengguan Lei, they were already peak major primal core realm cultivators 3 years ago. It was impossible for Zhen Yuan not to have improved. You guessed right. If not for the appearance of your Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, I would have remained in this cultivation realm for another 3 years. Zhen Yuan said indifferently, the Buddhist sect emphasizes comprehension ability and does not care much about cultivation realm. Comprehending it once every 10 years or comprehending it in one day can increase one's cultivation by 100 years. However, it no longer matters. Indeed, it no longer mattered. Since Zhen Yuan was no longer a Buddhist, he naturally could not continue cultivating like this. How is it? How do you think my saber skills compare to yours? Zhen Yuan asked Xiao Chen with a cocky expression. I only cultivated my saber skills for 3 months. I already comprehended the true meaning of breaking the mundane, resolving the mundane, and entering hell. He even comprehended another saber technique, Azura Purgatory. Becoming a Buddha in 1 year and cultivating the demonic Tao with a thought. You understand what I mean? Xiao Chen said indifferently. This Zhen Yuan was indeed a genius at the saber. However, how could the saber Tao be accomplished quickly? For the sake of a shortcut, Zhen Yuan had already entered the demonic Tao. The stronger he was, the deeper the demonic Tao. Sooner or later, he would end up digging his own grave. The first of the Mahamaya abstinence violation scripture is the demonic Tao. However, the Buddhist sect and the demonic Tao cannot coexist, so I changed it to the demonic Tao. This is a demonic saber in the first place. It is not that my cultivation went astray. You were wrong from the start. Zhen Yuan enunciated every word as he looked straight at Xiao Chen. Zhen Yuan really wanted to see the confused expression on Xiao Chen's face when he heard that. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Xiao Chen had a strong mental fortitude. How could he deny what he comprehended just because of a few words? He said indifferently, just wait and see. You said that you know what I am thinking and what I seek. Tell me. Zhen Yuan stepped forward and looked at the faux god flame on the blue dragon totem. His eyes sank into it like he was bewitched. You seek the faux god flame. However, this faux god flame is already tainted with a demonic nature. I do not need this faux god flame. I only need the demonic nature in it. There is no conflict between us at all. After pausing for a moment, Zhen Yuan continued, now that I have the saber technique manual, you no longer have anything that I seek. I will not be enemies with you. We can work together. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. This suggestion was indeed pretty good. He could feel the pain that the faux god flame suffered. However, he could not find a way to resolve it immediately. Zhen Yuan had already decided to cultivate the demonic Tao. The demonic nature tainted by the faux god flame held a boundless temptation for him. More importantly, Xiao Chen sensed that some evil dragon should be sealed in this place. Originally, the faux god flame was the crux of the seal. However, too much time had passed, and the faux god flame's divine nature weakened uncontrollably. The evil dragon infiltrated it and controlled it. The so-called dragon Qi was the demonized faux god flame purposely leaking it to attract others to discover the dragon city. Then, they would use their essence blood to activate the blood formation around the totem. If Xiao Chen did not think of a solution, when the formation was activated, the seal might be completely destroyed. Letting Zhen Yuan absorb the evil dragon's demonic qi might be a way to solve the problem once and for all. However, all of this was just Xiao Chen's guess. He could not be sure. Whether to gamble or not depended on Xiao Chen's decision. You still can't make up your mind? The faux god flame is an opportunity that many people dream of. As long as you agree, you can obtain it, Zhen Yuan said indifferently when he saw Xiao Chen remain silent. Zhen Yuan said indifferently when he saw Xiao Chen remain silent. He believed that Xiao Chen would make his choice. Buzz. As Xiao Chen held the black dragon scale, he felt the torture that the faux god flame suffered again. It was an indescribable pain that made one's heart palpitate, but one could do nothing about it. All right, deal. Xiao Chen's expression remained calm as he tossed the dragon scale to Zhen Yuan. Zhen Yuan revealed a smile as he stretched out his hand and caught the dragon scale. Then, he revealed a fervent expression as he looked at the black faux god flame. Boom! However, just at this moment, the blood formation suddenly gave off a red light. The towering blue dragon totem, which had not moved since the beginning, started to shake. The entire dragon city also started to tremble intensely. Chapter 1743. Dragon City kept shaking, and all kinds of buildings collapsed one after another. Cracks appeared in the ground, and streams of dragon flame spewed out. What's going on? Save me. The Snow Sword Palace disciples and Senior Lu's team had not gone far. Originally, they wanted to ambush Xiao Chen and observe the situation. However, the sudden situation turned several people into ashes on the spot after being struck by the dragon flame. Damn it! How can it be like this? Huangpu Qi cursed and soared into the air. The buildings under his feet immediately collapsed, and a stream of dragon flame spewed out of the ground. Huangpu Qi paled in fright, and cold sweat poured down his back. If he had been any slower, he would have died immediately. Before Huangpu Qi could catch his breath, the ground shook again, and several streams of dragon flame spewed out at the same time. Whoosh! 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 Huangpu Qi drew his sword, and a cold intent spread out as he barely dodged. He looked around and saw flames everywhere in the dragon city. Terrifying, ferocious roars came from the ground. A horrifying dragon might spread out in the city, and a strange fear spread in people's hearts. Huangpu Qi could not care so much, directly turning around and fleeing. He could no longer remain in this place. If he did, he might end up dying here. At this moment, half of the intact dragon city instantly collapsed. Flames surged into the sky, spreading throughout the entire city. Everyone fled for their lives, not daring to linger for even a moment. In the plaza, the expressions of Xiao Chen and Zhen Yuan changed. They saw the swaying blue dragon totem in the blood formation, looking like it would collapse at any moment. Xiao Chen said sullenly, "Hurry up. Move faster." Zhen Yuan did not dare to be careless. His expression turned extremely grave as he held the dragon scale with one hand and formed hand seals with the other. Zhen Yuan muttered something. It was actually a Buddhist incantation. As Zhen Yuan's hand seals changed, his body gave off a pitch-black Buddhist light. An expressionless black Buddha image appeared behind him. Zhen Yuan roared, and a black swastika shot out from his forehead. The swastika spun continuously, and the faux god flame on the totem trembled continuously, releasing strands of black aura. A sinister aura spread out in the surroundings. Xiao Chen immediately felt his heart palpitate, and his body and mind were affected. Whoosh! Boom! Black smoke continuously came out of the tiny faux god flame. A moment later, thick black smoke filled the air above the plaza. A terrifying demonic aura pressed down on everyone, making it difficult for them to breathe. This startled Xiao Chen. Unexpectedly, the faux god flame hid so much demonic nature. Even with so much demonic nature leaking out, it still showed no signs of stopping. Feeling the increasing pressure, Xiao Chen had no choice but to sit down cross-legged and guard his heart in order to not be disturbed. A pair of scarlet eyes appeared in the black smoke above the plaza, staring coldly at Zhen Yuan. Xiao Chen squinted and saw an indistinct black dragon figure in the darkness. It was the black dragon. Xiao Chen was alarmed. There was an evil black dragon suppressed beneath the dragon city. What kind of existence needed a dragon city to suppress? Furthermore, it needed a faux god's divine flame to suppress it. Just thinking about it sent chills down one's spine. Zhen Yuan grinned and sneered, "Withdraw." The gigantic Buddha image behind Zhen Yuan formed hand seals, and the swastika on its forehead started to forcefully suck in the black smoke. This person had really entered a state of berserking qi deviation. To think that he wanted to suppress and refine this demonic nature for his own use. Xiaoqian did not know if he was crazy or bold. "Insignificant bald donkey, you overestimate yourself." A terrifying roar resounded in the air. The black smoke turned into a dragon image and charged at Zhen Yuan. Rumble. With one pounce, the floor of the plaza was sent flying. A strong storm spread out in all directions, materializing black storms that swept out in all directions. "You are just a strand of remnant will. You can't do anything to me." Zhen Yuan revealed a cold smile. He stretched out his hand, and the gigantic hand of the Buddha image behind him smashed down. This hand directly scattered this black dragon image, turning it into strands of thin black smoke. Then, the swastika on Zhen Yuan's forehead quickly sucked in the black dragon image. Ah! The instant the black smoke was sucked in, black lines appeared on Zhen Yuan's face, and he went berserk. Although it was just a strand of remnant will of the evil dragon, the demonic nature it contained was astonishingly vast, causing Zhen Yuan's aura to grow continuously. Black hair started growing wildly on Zhen Yuan's bald head like weeds. With just one look, Xiaoqian felt fear in his heart. What exactly was the origin of the demonic dragon sealed below? Looking around, Xiaoqian was pleasantly surprised to discover that as Zhen Yuan continuously sucked in the demonic qi, the black faux god flame on the totem started to turn clear. The flame swayed, becoming purer. The roar that reverberated endlessly above the dragon city turned even more intense. The black faux god flame on the totem slowly turned clear. The flame swayed, becoming purer. However, compared to the initial berserk roar, the dragon roar now sounded more like a roar of unwillingness. It sounded even scarier when one heard it. The dragon city was completely destroyed, reduced to rubble and bathed in a sea of fire. Ha 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 ha. I succeeded. I succeeded. I succeeded. Zhen Yuan laughed maniacally, looking deranged. The black hair on his forehead fluttered wildly. His image had changed greatly, and Seng Ji's tough and upright temperament had disappeared. His long hair fluttered wildly, and his eyes exuded a fiendish qi. Zhen Yuan's aura was even more horrifying. Xiaoqian felt like Zhen Yuan would break through to star venerate at any moment. Zhen Yuan shifted his gaze and stared at Xiaoqian. Then, he smiled and said, "Xiaoqian, many thanks for your dragon scale. You can scram now." Right after Zhen Yuan spoke, he laughed maniacally. Then, his figure flashed and grabbed at the faux god flame on the totem. Zhen Yuan had never thought of leaving the faux god flame to Xiaoqian. However, Xiaoqian did not move at all. He showed a cold smile as he coldly watched Zhen Yuan's actions. Boom! The faux god flame, which already had its demonic nature gone, ferociously released a divine might that knocked Zhen Yuan into the air. The faux god flame directly entered Xiaoqian's forehead with a whoosh. A flame mark appeared on Zhen Yuan's forehead. Xiaoqian immediately felt boundless energy filling his body. His mental energy grew infinitely in the depths of his sea of consciousness like there was no limit. "Junior, many thanks for saving me from my pain." Before Xiaoqian could sense this energy, a voice suddenly rang out in his mind. It was the master of the faux god flame. Xiaoqian was not surprised. The faux god flame that struggled free would choose him, a true blue dragon descendant. Furthermore, it was Zhen Yuan, the Buddhist sect unfilial son who entered the demonic Tao. There was no need to think. It had to be him. Damn it! How can it be like this? Zhen Yuan stood on a boulder outside the plaza. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips, somewhat caught off guard. Heaven is helping me. Unexpectedly, I managed to run into a blue dragon descendant at the critical moment. Junior, there is no need to say anything. Just do as I say. Quickly smash the blue dragon totem into the ground and block the formation. Only then can we barely suppress the black dragon king from coming out. This development startled Xiao Chen. The black dragon king can still come out even after the demonic nature is absorbed. The seal broke long ago. Even if we smash the totem into the ground, it can only trap him for another 100 years. After 100 years, the black dragon king will definitely appear again. Xiao Chen did not have much time to think. His figure flashed, and he passed through the many layers of blood formations and landed on the blue dragon totem. Xiao Chen, I want your life. Xiao Chen had just landed when he saw Zhen Yuan descend from the sky with a ferocious expression while holding a saber. Zhen Yuan executed the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique's third move, entering hell. The 18 layers of hell layered over each other. 10,000 ghosts covered Zhen Yuan as he swung his saber. The terrifying saber light looked like it came from the depths of hell. Woo! 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 The mournful wails of evil spirits rang out in the surroundings. At this moment, hell and the human world merged. You are seeking death. A cold snort rang out in Xiao Chen's mind, and the flame mark on his forehead shot out a beam of divine light. Intense flames burned all the evil spirits, causing them to cry out in pain. All the mysterious phenomena were burned away. After Zhen Yuan landed, flames wrapped around his body, causing him to roll on the ground in pain. Zhen Yuan's face changed continuously, sometimes black and sometimes white. He looked neither human nor ghost, completely crazed and extremely pitiful. There were no shortcuts between the Saber Dao and the Martial Dao. Since Zhen Yuan chose this path, all the consequences were self-inflicted. There was no need to pity him. Quick! Bury the blue dragon totem into the ground. Boom! 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 Just at this moment, the ground started surging like waves. Something seemed like it would jump out at any moment. Xiao Chen used all his vital qi and smashed a palm strike on the blue dragon totem. He felt his veritable essence energy, vital qi, and mental energy in his sea of consciousness getting wildly absorbed by the totem. Under Xiao Chen's push, the blue dragon totem slowly sank into the ground. Chapter 1744. Boom! When the blue dragon totem completely sank into the ground, the world suddenly turned quiet. The terrifying evil dragon underground was completely suppressed, and the horrifying dragon roars stopped. At this moment, the fiery underground dragon city slowly extinguished. When Xiao Chen landed on the ground, he felt drained of energy. All his vital qi and veritable essence energy were drained. He had put in all his effort to bury the blue dragon totem in the ground. Without much thought, Xiao Chen sat down cross-legged and took out 2 medial-grade spirit jades. Then, he closed his eyes and circulated the purple thunder divine incantation. Junior, what's your name? As Xiao Chen anxiously recovered his strength, that heavy voice rang out in his mind again. It was the original owner of the faux god flame. I am Xiao Chen. Xiao clan. Among the 8 noble clans of my blue dragon bloodline, there does not seem to be a clan with the family name Xiao. However, it does not matter. Xiao Chen, I do not have much time left. I can only pass this faux god flame to you. Great waves stirred in Xiao Chen's heart. He could not bear to tell the other party that he was the only one left of the blue dragon bloodline. After thinking for a while, he asked softly, is there no other way? Since the faux god flame is not extinguished, can I help Senior find a body and possess it? It is too late. My divine flame is already too weak. There is only a strand of will of soul left, unable to possess a body. Furthermore, I do not have any desire to continue living. There is no need to force it. The faux god flame's voice came and went, showing that it was in an incomplete state. Xiao Chen remained silent, not knowing what to say. There is no need to feel pity. I have already lived long enough. Remember this. Within 100 years, the Black Dragon King will definitely come out. This blue dragon totem is just a final resort. It cannot trap the Black Dragon King. How unfortunate, how unfortunate. In the end, I let down the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's trust. The faux god Flame's voice started to weaken until it gradually vanished. Senior. Senior, no matter how Xiaoqin called out in his mind, that voice never appeared again. This made Xiaoqin sigh in regret. Whoosh. All of a sudden, many memories that did not belong to Xiaoqin surged into his mind. These were the stories of the faux god Flame's master. Many scenes flashed in Xiaoqian's mind intermittently like a movie. Because it was only a wisp of remnant will, its memories and information were scattered. After a while, Xiaoqin sorted out some clues and gained a rough understanding of the Black Dragon King's origins. There had never been a black dragon in the history of the dragon race, and there was no black dragon bloodline among the 7-colored divine dragons. The Black Dragon King was a variant body. The day it was born, there were all sorts of terrifying omens. When they grew up, their strength became stronger and stronger, almost heaven-defying. Soon, they surpassed many of the older generation experts of the dragon race. He claimed to be the reincarnation of the dragon god. He killed with an iron fist and obtained the position of the Dragon Emperor. He was known as the Black Dragon King. After that, the hidden experts of the dragon clan worked together to seal it. However, it was almost unkillable and was able to break free of the seal in the end. Every time it appeared, it would cause a bloody storm in the dragon race, bringing all sorts of disasters. The last time it appeared, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor personally sealed it. Then, a dragon race faux god expert used his divine flame to suppress it. Unfortunately, the effects of the seal had weakened by now. When the faux god flame was about to burn out, the Black Dragon King found an opportunity. If not for Xiaoqian's coincidental appearance, the Black Dragon King would not have needed 100 years. Just now, the Black Dragon King would have successfully appeared, not needing 100 years. Xiaoqin immediately felt some lingering fear. If he had not sealed the totem into the ground earlier, he would have died. If he had not sealed the totem into the ground earlier, the Black Dragon King would have appeared. Not only would he have died, but the disaster it would have brought would have been unpredictable. At the same time, Xiaoqin also sorted out the method to inherit the faux god flame. Although this faux god flame was about to burn out, the energy it contained was still an astronomical amount to the current Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin thought about how Jin Yuan's strength swelled to a frightening level just by absorbing the demonic nature. The faux god flame would definitely not be much weaker. However, Xiaoqin was different. He would not forcefully refine it and raise his strength. There were no shortcuts on the path of cultivation. Jin Yuan's earlier appearance, which was neither human nor ghost, was the best lesson for Xiaoqin. Given Jin Yuan's talent, he should not have been so radical. Abandoning Buddhism to cultivate the demonic path was truly unfortunate. After clearing away the distracting thoughts, Xiaoqin started to follow the method he sorted out, slowly receiving the inheritance of the faux god flame. The bright flame mark on Xiaoqian's forehead slowly dimmed. Whoosh! The energy contained in the faux god flame was slowly absorbed by Xiaoqian's physical body, primal core, and soul. His entire body surged. The energy contained in the faux god flame was not purely veritable essence energy, vital qi, or soul energy. Instead, it contained all of them. Furthermore, there was a strand of the most important divine might. As Xiaoqin absorbed the inheritance naturally, his cultivation rapidly soared. His body gave off motes of spiritual light. In the dark dragon city, they looked like fireflies, exceptionally beautiful. Xiaoqin had purposely released these motes of spiritual light. He was not as greedy as Jin Yuan. If he absorbed all the energy in the faux god flame, breaking through to star venerate would not be a problem. However, there was no need for that. If his foundation was unstable, he could easily enter berserking qi deviation. Everything had to be within his control. 1 hour later, Xiao Chen's cultivation rose from early-stage major primal core realm to late-stage major primal core realm before stopping, just one step away from peak consummation. It was not over yet. After the inheritance ended, the energy representing veritable essence energy continued to be passed down. The energy representing soul energy continued to be passed down. Strands of pure soul energy flew into the depths of Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness, which he had never explored before. Is it going to the soul pool? Xiao Chen could not help feeling curious. In the past, he had heard from Yi Zifeng that Yi Zifeng had already condensed a soul pool that only star venerates could awaken. However, due to Xiao Chen's limited strength, he had not been able to investigate it. This might be an opportunity. Xiao Chen's consciousness lingered on the strands of pure soul energy, slowly entering the depths of his sea of consciousness. After a while, Xiao Chen saw a spot of light in this pitch-black forbidden land. That was the soul pool. Before Xiao Chen could take a closer look, he felt dazed. Then, a pure soul energy entered it. The soul pool was incredibly vast and could be said to be boundless. The vast soul pool appeared hazy and confused. The soul energy from the foe god flame flew towards a clump of light in the center of the soul pool. That clump of light was what ordinary people referred to as the 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls. The so-called will of soul was formed by combining the 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls with a cultivation technique that cultivated soul energy. In the great thousand realms, all life forms, be they fiendish demons or ferocious beasts, had 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls. When cultivated to a high level, one would condense the 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls, cultivating soul energy and materializing the will of soul. As the boundless soul energy entered, that clump of light became increasingly brighter. Xiao Chen clearly felt his 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls strengthening continuously. The soul pool was vast and boundless, appearing hazy and hazy. In reality, the vastness of the soul pool far surpassed one's imagination. It was the most mysterious part of the human body. Far to the east of the soul pool, in a place that Xiao Chen could not sense, there was a mysterious gravestone. The gravestone stood tall and gave off an ancient aura. The 2 words, Sky Dome, were written on it. There seemed to be a grave behind the Sky Dome gravestone. Xiao Chen did not know what was buried there. However, Xiao Chen had relied on a trick to enter. His consciousness was very weak, and everything he saw was hazy. He could not see the gravestone in the east, which was extremely far away. After Xiao Chen completely accepted the foe god flame's soul energy, the clump of light in the center of the soul pool spun continuously. Boundless starlight poured out from it. After a while, motes of starlight filled the soul pool. After a while, motes of starlight filled the soul pool. The clump of light stopped spinning and condensed into an azure-colored dragon seal, radiating a terrifying dragon might. Xiao Chen withdrew his consciousness, and he suddenly opened his eyes. Many stars flickered in them. Immediately, all the floating dust in front of him disappeared. At this moment, it was like everything in the world, life or death, depended on a thought from Xiao Chen. Will of Soul. After receiving the foe god Flame's soul inheritance, Xiao Chen directly formed the Will of Soul. Boom! With a thought, the dragon seal in Xiao Chen's soul pool burst out with a piercing light. Everything in front turned to dust. The light was silent and shockingly mighty. Chapter 1745. Just as Xiao Chen was in closed-door cultivation and accepting the foe god Flame inheritance, Xiao Chen's expression changed drastically. Huangpu Qi appeared on the ground of the Dragon Flame ancient land in a somewhat sorry state. Then, he started to count the Snow Sword Palace disciples that escaped from the Dragon City. Soon after, Huangpu Qi finished counting, and his expression turned extremely grim. Of the 100 Snow Sword Palace disciples, only 20-odd remained. Most of them died in the final Dragon Flame. Now, only 1/5 remained. They had not obtained the foe god Flame or the Blue Dragon Totem. It had to be said that this was a huge failure. After Xiao Chen returned to the Snow Sword Palace, he would definitely be punished by the sect elders. They had failed to lead the team and suffered heavy casualties. Brother Huangpu. Right at this moment, old Ma, who had a weak expression and was covered in wounds, appeared with Xiahou Feng, Leng Feng, and the others. Senior Ma's team had already lost more than half of its members in the battle with the Black Flame Demons. Then, they experienced the Dragon Flame eruption and died even more miserably. Now, there were less than 10 people left. They were almost wiped out. Not long after, Elder Lu's team also arrived, and their expressions were even more miserable. His team's strength was the weakest. After making an inventory, there were only 4 or 5 people who escaped from Dragon City. Old Ma, this Xiao Chen is a member of your team. Just what is his background? Huangpu Qi's expression was gloomy as he looked at Senior Ma. There was a clear hint of dissatisfaction in his eyes. He was currently in an extremely bad mood, wishing that he could kill everyone related to Xiao Chen. He comes from the Grave Sea. I'm not sure which sect he comes from. He just joined the group not long ago, so I really don't know much about him. Senior Ma explained hurriedly when he saw Huangpu Qi's expression. This time, the matter had really blown up. The Rank 5 Snow Sword Palace had lost so many people. They would definitely not leave the matter at that. If he were to get involved with Xiao Chen now, he might accidentally get implicated. The consequences would be unimaginable. Leng Feng said, "This matter cannot be blamed on us. If we discover him, old Ma and I will not let him off." That's right. I will absolutely not offend this brat, unless he never returns to Dragon Flame City, Senior Lu said coldly with a sinister expression. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Huangpu Qi said hatefully, "Damn it." This time, the ancient transportation formation that Dragon Flame City activates once every 100 years. The 10 great sects of the Soaring Dragon Marquis personally came. My Snow Sword Palace has truly lost all face. That brat, I will definitely make him wish he was dead. When Senior Ma and Senior Lu heard this, their hearts involuntarily sank. The Soaring Dragon Marquis was the Soaring Dragon Marquis' conferred land in the central Great Realms Yanwu dynasty. Fortune flourished, and those who were conferred the title of Marquis could share the fortune of the empire. From the moment the empires were established, they began to accumulate luck. Now, the 4 empires had accumulated luck for hundreds of thousands of years. Currently, any dynasty had the ability to influence the direction of the entire Great Thousand World. The nobles of the dynasty could borrow the fate of the dynasty, and the sects that were allowed to be established in the nobles' fiefdom could also borrow the fate of the nobles. Compared to the Rank 5 sects established outside, the Rank 5 sects of the dynasties were much stronger in accumulations and strength. According to Huangpu Qi, the 10 great Rank 5 sects of the Soaring Dragon Marquis all sent people. It would be strange if Senior Ma and Senior Lu were not shocked. Investigate this for me. We must investigate Xiao Chen's background thoroughly. At the same time, spread the news that he possesses the Faux God Flame and the ancient Blue Dragon Totem. The murderous intent in Huangpu Qi's eyes remained unextinguished, and the rage in his heart remained unquenched. He pushed all the blame for his carelessness to Xiao Chen. In reality, death and injury were hard to avoid when one went out on experiential training. The deaths of the Snow Sword Palace disciples had nothing to do with Xiao Chen. Huangpu Qi could only be said to be petty for being so narrow-minded. With so many deaths and injuries, Huangpu Qi and the others had no choice but to shatter their talisman strips and return to the city to rest. This ended their experiential training in the depths of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. In the underground Dragon City, Xiao Chen, who had condensed the will of soul, revealed joy on his face. This was truly a pleasant surprise. Unexpectedly, the soul energy inheritance of the Faux God Flame would directly help him condense the will of soul that he dreamed of. Xiao Chen thought about how he ended up in a sorry state every time he faced the will of soul of that star venerate expert. The ability of the will of soul was simply too terrifying. Xiao Chen could already directly drive the power of the world. When fighting with cultivators without a will of soul, he had a great advantage. Many times, even when Xiaochen fought with star venerates, he held the upper hand. The main reason why he did not dare to fight head-on was that he did not have a will of soul. The inheritance of vital qi, veritable essence energy, soul energy, and the foe god flame ended. However, the flame mark on Xiaochen's forehead, which had already turned very dim, did not vanish. There was still a faint mark. The inheritance was not over yet. Xiaochen was startled to discover a golden flame in his sea of consciousness. Whoosh! A flash of light immediately lit up his entire sea of consciousness, making it golden and boundlessly resplendent. Divine might. Xiaochen's heart skipped a beat. He was very familiar with this light. It was the black-armored cultivator from back then. That black-armored cultivator from back then had used the energy of the foe god flame several times to unleash divine might and send Huangpu Qi, Senior Ma, and the other star venerates flying. This golden flame slowly grew and eventually turned into a lingering strand of flame that remained in Xiaochen's sea of consciousness. At this moment, the flame mark on Xiaochen's forehead completely vanished. The inheritance of the foe god flame ended. That final strand of divine might was the most precious treasure for Xiaochen. However, he did not know how many times he could use it. No wonder those people fought to the death to obtain the foe god flame. Xiaochen could not help sighing as he felt his cultivation increase, the condensed will of soul, and the increase in his physical body's vital qi. This was simply somewhat surreal. The feeling that the foe god flame gave him was simply too miraculous. That final strand of divine might would benefit him for life. It would be of great help to him when he tried to break through to the foe god realm and condense a divine flame. Aside from that, the remnant memories in the foe god flame represented a large amount of experience and knowledge. Those were benefits that could not be seen yet. However, they would be of great help to Xiaochen. When Xiaochen looked around, he saw that the dragon city had already turned into rubble. It no longer looked ancient and majestic like when Xiaochen first saw it. There was only ruin and chaos. After the great fire, everything was gone. The blue dragon race, the exquisite buildings, the residences that once existed, everything was lost to history. Xiaochen did not know if he would get a chance to see the ancient city of the blue dragon race again in the future. At this moment, Xiaochen's emotions were indescribably complicated. Xiaochen was originally the last inheritor of the blue dragon race, someone who was determined to restore the glory of the blue dragon race. As Xiaochen watched this ancient dragon city turn from complete to rubble, he felt even more sorrowful than ordinary people. Xiaochen looked down at the dragon race plaza. The black flame demons formed by the life bestowal spell had reverted to their original form. The many black flame crystal statues had all cracked. They no longer had any spiritual energy, so they could no longer be used. Only the black statue that Xiaochen had nourished with his essence blood and other flame crystals remained intact. Xiaochen carefully picked it up and blew away the dust. Then, he carefully put it away. Looking around, Xiaochen discovered something familiar under a few pieces of rubble. Gently pushing aside the rubble, Xiaochen saw it clearly. Only then did he discover that it was the black dragon scale that he had given to Jin Yuan. Xiaochen recalled that divine might had forced Jin Yuan back, and the demonic qi had rebounded on him. As Jin Yuan entered a state of berserking qi deviation, he could not even take care of himself. Jin Yuan should be in closed-door cultivation somewhere in the Dragon Flame ancient land. Right now, Jin Yuan was terrifyingly strong. However, his situation was not good. The Black Dragon King's demonic qi might consume his consciousness at any moment, turning him into a puppet of the Black Dragon King like the Black Armored Cultivator. Black Dragon King. At the mention of the Black Dragon King, Xiaochen's expression turned grave. The Black Dragon King in the Foe God Flame inheritance was extremely terrifying. The Black Dragon King would appear again within 100 years. When Xiaochen thought of facing such a terrifying opponent, he could not bring himself to feel happy. Collecting his thoughts, Xiaochen looked around at the dragon city that looked like rubble. In Xiaochen's eyes, aside from the vicissitudes of history, this was also a treasure city. The memories of the faux god flame inheritance allowed Xiao Chen to learn many secrets about this city. If he explored it a little, he would definitely gain a lot. Chapter 1746. In the memories of the faux god flame, there should have been a library in the northern part of the city. That place used to be the martial technique pavilion of the largest clan in this dragon city. It contained all the dragon race cultivation techniques. There was no lack of peak cultivation techniques. Aside from the primogenitor grade cultivation techniques, the other cultivation techniques of the central great realm had a total of 3 grades: heaven, earth, and mortal. Each grade was further divided into superior grade, medial grade, and peak grade. Below that were all sorts of ungraded cultivation techniques. There were all sorts of explanations for them, so there was no way to summarize them all. A regular cultivator would be very lucky to obtain an authentic mortal grade martial technique, something that was rather rare. The army breaking sword technique that Xiao Chen once obtained was a famous peak mortal grade martial technique in the Central Great Realm. In the Central Great Realm, cultivation techniques and martial techniques were strictly categorized. Many of the martial techniques and cultivation techniques of the sects in the various astral clusters outside could not be considered mortal grade in the Central Great Realm. When a cultivation technique or martial technique reached a low grade, it would be known as a divine skill. This was because it was extremely powerful and difficult to cultivate. Furthermore, it was rare in quantity. Take that Huangpu Qi for example. The sword technique that he cultivated was an inferior grade earth grade sword technique, known as an earth grade divine skill. Xiao Chen had seen the might of this move for himself. The northern part of the city was also in ruins. Xiao Chen searched according to the inherited memories. It didn't take long for the address of the library to be sorted out. The library had collapsed long ago. The various restrictions were gone, and many cultivation techniques and martial techniques were burned. Complete martial techniques were extremely rare. As Xiao Chen looked at the many incomplete manuals, he showed a regretful expression. Many of them were superior grade mortal grade martial techniques. There were also some so-called earth grade divine skills. Some of them even tempted Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen seriously collected every incomplete manual. In the future, he would have to restore all of them. These were cultivation techniques and martial techniques compatible with the dragon race's physique. If Xiao Chen wanted to revive the blue dragon bloodline in the future, he would need a complete martial technique system from the lowest to the highest. Ice Feather Divine Incantation. Suddenly, Xiao Chen discovered a complete medial grade earth grade cultivation technique, and his eyes lit up. Xiao Chen had never cultivated his will of ice with a cultivation technique that matched it. Now, with the assistance of the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation, Xiao Chen's will of thunder slowly strengthened. As the will of ice continued to descend, the gap between the two grew larger. As a result, he rarely used the Ice Blood Lightning Dragon, which had originally been his trump card, as its might could no longer keep up. I might as well cultivate another ice attribute cultivation technique and walk the path of ice and thunder that no one has ever walked before. Xiao Chen whispered to himself, a vague idea forming in his mind. Martial artists who cultivated the thunder attribute would usually cultivate a wind attribute or a cloud attribute cultivation technique, walking the wind and thunder Dao. However, no one had ever walked the Dao of ice and lightning before, because it was simply too difficult to fuse the two together. Many people were unable to walk it. Xiao Chen was quite talented in both aspects. He had even fused the Ice Blood Lightning Dragon. It was not impossible to walk the path of ice and lightning. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen put away the Ice Feather Divine Art. He planned to cultivate another cultivation technique when he had free time. After cleaning up this place, Xiao Chen looked at the ruined Dragon City and sighed. He continued exploring Dragon City. With the help of the inherited memories, Xiao Chen was always able to gain something in the vast ruins. A month later, all the treasures in the ruins of Dragon City were collected. The treasures he had obtained were beyond his imagination. After taking a solemn look at Dragon City, Xiao Chen left the city and came to the surface. It had only been a few dozen days, but when Xiao Chen returned to the surface, he had the illusion that 1,000 years had passed. Xiao Chen had changed too much. Compared to before, he was a completely different person. Before he entered Dragon City, he did not expect that in just a few weeks, he would not be able to come to Dragon City. Xiao Chen's cultivation could break through to late-stage major primal core realm, his vital qi could reach 10 cauldron force, and he could condense the will of soul that he dreamed of. Taking out the teleportation jade slip, Xiao Chen crushed it. Mottled shadows appeared beneath his feet, constantly changing and combining. 15 minutes later, a complete formation was formed. Xiao. A huge force spread out, and Xiao Chen's body disappeared. When he reappeared, he had already disappeared. When he reappeared, he returned to the ancient teleportation formation in Dragon Flame City's northern city. Bladesman Xiao Chen. Upon seeing Xiao Chen appear, the old man maintaining the formation revealed a strange expression. Xiao Chen exclaimed softly, "You recognize me?" "Ha! Who in the city does not know you, white-robed Xiao Chen? You chased away 3 factions by yourself. Even the Snow Sword Palace's Huangpu Qi suffered a great loss at your hands." When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt stunned. News really spread fast. "However, the most crucial thing is that I heard that you inherited a strand of faux god flame and obtained an ancient dragon race totem. Right now, it is not just the Snow Sword Palace's Huangpu Qi, Senior Ma, and Senior Lu's teams that want your life." The old man smiled faintly, a strange light flashing in his eyes. Boom! Suddenly, the old man attacked, punching at Xiao Chen as he released his aura. When the old man punched, the sky changed color. This was the sudden strike of a peak major primal core expert. Its might was great. If it were the previous Xiao Chen, he would definitely be flustered and would have to spend some effort to deal with it. Now, Xiao Chen only smiled coldly. The moment Xiao Chen appeared in the formation, he sensed that something was wrong with this old man. Xiao Chen had kept an eye out long ago and was not surprised by the old man's sudden attack. With a thought, vital qi surged in Xiao Chen's body, and all the dragon bones in his body crackled. Xiao Chen directly used his body to receive the other party's punch. Bang! A loud sound rang out. Xiao Chen's horrifying physical body received this punch head-on. The strengthened dragon bones isolated most of the damage. Xiao Chen's veritable essence energy surged and easily negated the remaining force of the punch. After receiving the punch head-on, Xiao Chen was completely unscathed. How can it be like this? That old man was greatly startled, revealing an extremely horrified expression, completely flabbergasted. Although the old man's sudden punch was not a peak strike, it was still quite mighty. Not only was Xiao Chen uninjured, but he also did not take even half a step back. Scram! When the old man felt that something was wrong and wanted to turn around and retreat, Xiao Chen's vital qi surged out. Clang clang clang. 10 dragon cauldrons made of vital qi collided with each other, giving off a deafening sound. Xiao Chen retaliated with a punch, and 10 cauldron force exploded, sending the old man flying. His clothes were tattered, and his body was badly mutilated. He fell to the ground in a sorry state. Straightening his clothes, Xiao Chen strode out of the place. Seeing this scene, all of them turned pale with fright. However, no one dared to block Xiao Chen's path. This was Dragon Flame City. Strength was the rule, and the strong were the rules. Xiao Chen thought to himself, it should be Huangpu Qi who leaked the news about me. This aroused the greed of all the cultivators in the city. Even the old man maintaining the formation started thinking about Xiao Chen. Young Master Xiao, quickly leave Dragon Flame City. This is a troublesome place, you should not remain for long. A kind-hearted old man nearby reminded Xiao Chen. Leave? Why should I leave? Tell everyone that I, Xiao Chen, will be in the eastern part of the city for the next half a year. I will not go anywhere. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and left with large strides. The current situation suited Xiao Chen's intentions. Dragon Flame City was a place of crouching tigers and hidden dragons, with many experts. After Xiao Chen sent this old man flying with one punch, many people would think twice before they made a move. Those who dared to seek trouble for Xiao Chen would only be bold and skilled people with true talent. Xiao Chen had improved too quickly and had not had time to stabilize his strength. It would be great if he could have experts to spar with. How could Xiao Chen think of leaving when this was something he could not wish for? If Xiao Chen died in this Dragon Flame City, he could only blame himself for being weaker than others. There was nothing much to say. Xiao Chen was born in an abandoned land. Compared to many people in the Great Thousand Realms, he was much weaker. Without a heart that dared to fight, it would be impossible for him to rise up. In less than half a day, the news of Xiao Chen's return spread throughout the northern district of Dragon Flame City. Many people immediately rubbed their palms together, eager to give it a try. Dragon Flame City never cared about law or reason. However, the news of Xiao Chen's return and the news of him sending a peak major primal core cultivator flying with one punch poured a bucket of cold water over many people's heads. Chapter 1747. After renting a courtyard in the northern district, Xiao Chen casually settled down. He began to cultivate the Ice Feather Divine Incantation. This divine art was only an earth-ranked middle-grade cultivation technique. Even a normal true disciple of a 5th-rank sect would find it difficult to obtain such a precious cultivation technique. There were a total of 6 layers, and it was said that if one had an astonishing comprehension ability, they could combine the 6 layers into one and comprehend the hidden 7th layer of the Ice Feather Divine Art. In the cultivation room of the courtyard, Xiao Chen took out medial-grade spirit jades and inserted them into the nodes of the spirit-gathering formation. After filling it up, Xiao Chen sat cross-legged on the praying mat in the center of the formation and slowly circulated the Ice Feather Divine Incantation according to the route of the mental cultivation method. Closing his eyes, Zhang Xian formed a series of hand seals with his hands. Occasionally, he would cross his hands, and at other times, he would stack them up and down, placing them at his dantian. As the Ice Feather Divine Incantation circulated, the spiritual energy gathered in the formation quickly entered Xiao Chen's body, circulating endlessly in his meridians. Originally, there was only the purple chi whirlpool of the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation in the center of the dantian. However, after the Ice Feather Divine Incantation completed a minor cycle, countless pure spiritual energy fell like snowflakes like pure white feathers. Outside the purple cyclone, another small white cyclone formed. From today onwards, he would officially cultivate an ice cultivation technique and walk on the path of ice and thunder. The originally scattered will of ice in Xiao Chen's body slowly merged together according to the Ice Feather Divine Incantation. Xiao Chen, who had never cultivated an ice-attributed cultivation technique before, made rather quick progress in cultivating the Ice Feather Divine Art. Phew! Opening his eyes, Xiao Chen exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and looked around. The training room was already covered in frost, and sparse snowflakes slowly drifted down. Snowflakes fell on her white robe, adding to her strength of character. She was like a winter plum flower standing proudly in the snow and ice. Some white hairs appeared on his scattered hair. This was the result of successfully cultivating the first layer. To be able to successfully cultivate the first layer in half a day, he should possess the will of ice. That is why he can cultivate so quickly. Xiao Chen was quite satisfied with his cultivation progress, but he was also very calm. The main reason he was able to cultivate so quickly was because he had a good foundation. More importantly, he had only just started. He was only at the first level of the Ice Feather Divine Art. The long march of 10,000 li had just begun. So. Strange auras could be sensed from outside the house, and they were rapidly approaching. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and smiled. You're finally here. Let me see who you are. This person definitely came for the so-called ancient dragon race totem and the faux god flame inheritance. He did not hide his whereabouts. Anyone could find him if they wanted to. Most importantly, his whereabouts had been leaked on purpose. With a flash, Xiao Chen flew out of the cultivation room and landed on the roof of his courtyard. Xiao Chen raised his gaze and saw Huangpu Qi leading the Snow Sword Palace disciples outside the courtyard. There was also Senior Ma, Senior Lu, and a group of old friends. He charged forward with a murderous aura. Bang! With a kick from Huangpu Qi, the courtyard door was smashed into powder. Then, a group of people rushed in without any scruples. Xiao Chen raised his head and happened to see the white-clad Xiao Chen standing on the roof, holding his saber and smiling. A few strands of white hair adorned Xiao Chen's handsome face. On the roof, Xiao Chen looked like a winter snow plum flower standing alone in the cold wind, looking delicate and refined. Huangpu Qi felt slightly stunned. Then, he smiled and said, "Xiao Chen, it looks like you expected that I, Huangpu Qi, would come. You are a rank 4 sect disciple, yet there is no point in saying so much. In Dragon Flame City, there is no sect or origin. Strength reigns supreme. The winner is king, and the loser is a bandit. If you surpass the saber in my hand, I will give you everything you want." 2 Dao discs appeared behind Xiao Chen. His fighting spirit blazed, and his aura instantly reached its peak. Huangpu Qi felt stifled. He had not expected Xiao Chen to be so direct. "Senior brother, there is no need to be polite with him. Let's attack together. Even if he has a great fortuitous encounter, he will find it hard to escape death. Why go to so much trouble?" A Snow Sword Palace disciple stepped forward and whispered into Huangpu Qi's ear. "Indeed, brother Huangpu. In any case, he is just a rank 4 sect disciple. How can he compare to your noble status?" Senior Ma, who was at the side, said sullenly as he gave Xiao Chen a vicious look. Huangpu Qi raged in his heart. He demanded, "Do you think that I, Huangpu Qi, am definitely not a match for him? I am a Snow Sword Palace true inheritor, an early-stage star venerate. Do you think that I, Huangpu Qi, will need your help to deal with a rank 4 sect disciple?" Raising his gaze, Huangpu Qi said sullenly, "As long as you do not use that puppet technique from that day, why would I, Huangpu Qi, fear a fight with you?" As a rank 5 sect disciple, Huangpu Qi naturally had pride in his heart. From the start to the end, he had never treated Xiao Chen as an opponent. Back then, when Huangpu Qi was forced to leave, he had been brooding over it, believing that Xiao Chen used an unorthodox technique. Huangpu Qi had long been suppressing the rage in his heart. Now, Xiao Chen wanted to fight him alone. This was exactly what Huangpu Qi wanted. Xiao Chen said softly, "Don't worry. The technique from that day is very strict and exhausts a lot of energy. I will definitely not use it when fighting you. In that case, you can die." Huangpu Qi radiated killing intent as he took a big stride forward and charged over. Whoosh! Snowflakes filled the air, and boundless cold qi spread out. Frost instantly covered the entire courtyard, turning it into an ice palace. The instant Huangpu Qi drew his sword, a boundless sword light shot out. Huangpu Qi's figure suddenly vanished, becoming one with the snowflakes filling the air. Exquisite! Several Dragon Flame City experts and Snow Sword Palace disciples, who were watching in secret, could not help praising Huangpu Qi when they saw this sword strike. Huangpu Qi truly lives up to being a Snow Sword Palace true inheritor. This is a fusion of the Sword Dao and the Ice Dao. Even many of the old seniors cannot compare to this. This is truly indescribably exquisite. When the sword strikes, the flying snow and the sword light merge. This sky full of flying snow, is it sword light, or is it flying snow? What is real and what is fake? It is truly unpredictable. I heard that the founder of the Snow Sword Palace comprehended the Snowflake Divine Sword from the snow, establishing the rank 5 Snow Sword Palace. The Snow Sword Palace's profound cultivation techniques and martial techniques are all derived from the Snowflake Divine Sword. This Huangpu Qi has indeed learned a trace of the true essence. It's admirable. On the roof, Xiao Chen looked at the snow-filled sky and immediately saw the beauty of it. One had to admit that Huangpu Qi's sword was indeed eye-catching. Not only was his cultivation outstanding, but he also had deep attainments in the Ice Dao and the Sword Dao. He was worth learning from. Snowflakes fluttered in the air, as beautiful as a dream, as fragmented as jade, as clear as crystal, and as undulating as the sea, with turbulent undercurrents. This was Huang Puqi's true strength. It was also the reason why he had always thought highly of himself and looked down on Xiao Chen. How to break this move? Was he going to find Huang Puqi's true body in the snowstorm and see through the sword light and snowflakes? If that was the case, then he would have fallen into Huang Puqi's trap. After one move, Xiao Chen would definitely lose. The spring snow came treading on the air, and wherever it touched, it seemed as if flowers were blooming. Among the trees in the garden, which one was the real plum blossom? Where is the flying snow, where is the sword light? One wrong look, and the sky is filled with murderous intent. But why should I look at it? Flowers will wilt, snow will melt. There is nothing in the world that is eternal. However, if I resolve the mundane and jump out of the mundane world, what is real and what is fake will be decided with just a thought. If my wish is real, the flowers will bloom, never wilting. If my wish is fake, the snow will dance in the air, never melting. Xiao Chen's thoughts wandered as the snowstorm filled the courtyard. With just a thought, Xiao Chen gained many comprehensions from Huang Puqi's move. Unknowingly, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques resolved the mundane improved further. He now knew how to break this move. The Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique circulated in his body. However, Xiao Chen did not draw his saber, only using the true meaning of resolve the mundane. He gently stretched out a finger, and the white whirlpool in his dantian started spinning frantically. All the ice-attributed veritable essence energy in his body poured out. Then, he gently tapped the flying snow with his finger. The snowstorm filling the courtyard suddenly paused. Every snowflake bloomed in the air. 1 petal, 2 petals, 3 petals, formed a 7-petal white flower. The flying snow in the air instantly condensed into a flower. The courtyard, the snowflakes, the house, and the white-clad bladesman all formed a poetic painting. Huang Puqi, who had already merged with the flying snow, was forcefully squeezed out of the state that he created. When Huang Puqi looked up, his eyes met. He saw Xiao Chen standing alone under the roof, holding a flower and smiling. This startled Huang Puqi into retreating frantically. Chapter 1748. Huang Puqi had no choice but to retreat. Xiao Chen broke the mysterious phenomenon and perfect state that he created with one finger, turning it into Xiao Chen's mysterious phenomenon. Xiao Chen forced Huang Puqi out. This flabbergasted everyone. No one had expected Xiao Chen to use such a method to break this move. It was a miraculous and unimaginable break. Xiao Chen broke Huang Puqi's attack from the very foundation, instantly turning him into a defensive stance. The situation instantly reversed. Huang Puqi switched positions between offense and defense. Damn, this is too incredible. How did he do it? How strong is his mental state to be able to break this move like that? Why does it feel like this Xiao Chen's mental state is on a completely different level from Huang Puqi's? He is much stronger. This is going to be difficult. The spectators were all experts. Anyone could tell that Xiao Chen's seemingly simple finger attack had many tricks to it. In reality, there were many ways to learn it. It required an extremely high cultivation of the mind and a deep understanding of the martial Tao to reach an extremely high realm. Up on the roof, Xiao Chen smiled faintly as he watched the retreating Huang Puqi. Xiao Chen gently pushed his 2 fingers holding the snowflakes forward. The wind and snow in the air howled at Huang Puqi. Just as the 2 fingers moved forward, along with the howling of the wind and snow, there was a sudden clap of thunder on the flat ground. Boom! This thunder was ear-splitting, striking at the soul and resounding in the sea of consciousness. It lingered without scattering, spreading out endlessly. Thunderclouds spread in the sky, and countless electric lights burst out. The instant the power of the wind and snow shot out, Xiao Chen created his strongest mysterious phenomenon. He leaped up while holding his saber, pressing towards the frantically retreating Huang Puqi. Kill! Xiao Chen drew his saber tyrannically, and a strand of saber light exploded the wind and snow in the air. The lightning and thunder illuminated him, making him look like a war god. Xiao Chen, who already held the upper hand in the first place, instantly gained an overwhelming advantage over the frantically retreating Huang Puqi. Damn it! One wrong move, and he lost everything. Huang Puqi complained in his heart. Right now, the situation was extremely unfavorable to him. If he got careless, he would instantly lose. Sword. His mind was unprecedentedly focused. The path of frost had been broken, so he would use the sword in his hand to turn the situation around. With a furious roar, Huang Puqi's entire body surged with veritable essence energy, and the sword in his hand buzzed endlessly. Xiao Chen condensed an incredibly sharp sword move. His aura continuously shrank. By the time Xiao Chen arrived, he had already become as sharp as a needle. Needles, thin, sharp, but also easy to break. Huang Puqi was forcing himself into a dead end, putting himself in a hopeless situation. In any case, he was already at an absolute disadvantage, so he might as well take a gamble and take a risky move. No one had expected that the situation would be so dangerous in just 2 moves. It was truly shocking that they had reached such a situation where they were either alive or dead. Xiao Chen's state of mind was shocking. Huang Puqi's decisiveness was also shocking. Resolving the mundane. Seeing that Huang Puqi was risking his life like this, Xiao Chen was not afraid at all. He took the opportunity to execute his strongest killing move. A Buddhist swastika appeared on Xiao Chen's forehead. He appeared expressionless as he severed the 7 emotions and 6 desires, forgetting the mundane, achieving eternity. A strand of eternal and inextinguishable saber light immediately appeared. A boundlessly ferocious Buddhist light shone brightly in all directions under the thunderclouds. It was like a blazing sun, illuminating eternally, not caring about being extinguished. Ice Sealing Chop. Huang Puqi shouted, and 6 gigantic ice sword chi connected from head to tail appeared above his head. Then, they clashed with that eternal saber light. Xiao Chen gently pushed off the ground and shot forward like a beam of light, betting all of his veritable essence energy. The ice-sealing sword chi clashed with the eternal saber light. Ice shards kept leaking out of the 6 revolving ice sword chis. They flew out and created terrifying ice explosions. The cold chi immediately became like a knife slicing through the air. Ka-xie! Ka-xie! The courtyards within 5 kilometers that were affected instantly turned into ice palaces. Then, they silently turned into ice shards littering the ground. The cultivators watching in secret had no choice but to flee, afraid of getting caught up in the terrifying ice shards. Xiao Chen could not dodge. He could only use his physical body to block these terrifying ice shards head-on. When the cold chi entered his body, his internal organs were instantly assaulted. However, at this point, how could Xiao Chen retreat? The eternal and inextinguishable saber light in his hand continued to descend. The two were going all out. It was a matter of who could last to the end. It was Xiao Chen who broke the ice sword chi connected from head to tail, breaking the needle-like sharp sword move inside. In the end, it was Huang Puqi's needle-sharp, ice-like sword move that penetrated every opening that Xiao Chen could reach first, crushing his physical body. The saber light was eternal and inextinguishable. However, that did not mean that the physical body was eternal. Everyone held their breaths and focused, waiting for this exciting result. Ka-xie! In the next moment, the sound of something breaking could be heard from within the ice storm. In the next moment, the ice and snow broke, and Huang Puqi became like a broken kite, on the verge of falling. Senior brother. The Snow Sword Palace disciples were startled. They quickly soared into the air and caught Huang Puqi. You lost. The ice and snow exploded, and the saber light vanished. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber. Then, his white robes slowly landed, accompanied by the dancing ice and snow in the air. His face was slightly pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that the fight just now had exhausted his mind and spirit, and his injuries were not light. On the other hand, Huang Puqi's face was drained of blood. There was a terrifying saber wound on his chest. He had nearly been cut in half at the waist. "Thank you for showing mercy," Huang Puqi said through clenched teeth as he looked at Xiao Chen. His face was dark, and there was no sign of gratitude on his face. With the last saber strike, Xiao Chen had the chance to take his life. In the end, he held back and didn't chop him in half. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "No need to thank me. You saved your own life." He did not use his will of soul or activate his great desolate Ian bloodline. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to hold back. Huang Puqi smiled bitterly and said, "My background is better than yours, and my cultivation is higher. If I were to use my will of soul, where would I put my face? A defeat is a defeat. Let's go." This time, there was no need for Xiao Chen to say anything. Huang Puqi led the Snow Sword Palace disciples away. He would not appear again in the future. He was convinced and no longer had the face to remain here. Just at this moment, Senior Ma and Senior Lu, who were in the courtyard, exchanged glances and nodded slightly. While Xiao Chen and Huang Puqi were speaking, Senior Ma suddenly threw out a book. Stars flickered in the two's eyes. Their wills of soul carried the flourishing might of the world as they charged at Xiao Chen. The two's wills of soul merged into one in the air. Immediately, the sky changed color. Winds blew, and clouds churned. An unparalleled force pressed down on Xiao Chen. Everyone in the distance was so shocked by this scene that they sucked in a breath of cold air. Although there were no rules in Dragon Flame City, every cultivator had their pride. Very few people would launch such a shameless sneak attack. Furthermore, it was a sneak attack after the battle ended. Furthermore, it was two star venerates working together to use their wills of soul to suppress a major primal core venerate at the same time. "Xiao Chen, you traitor. This old man will let you know the fate of betrayers," Senior Ma said through clenched teeth, showing a vicious expression. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. In Senior Ma's eyes, Xiao Chen was already a dead man. Back then, Xiao Chen already found it very taxing to resist Senior Ma's will of soul alone. Now that Senior Ma and Senior Lu worked together to deal with the severely injured Xiao Chen, they were confident of success. There would be no mistakes. It's over. This time, Xiao Chen is really finished. While many people thought that the two old men were shameless, they also felt pity for Xiao Chen. No matter who it was, they would most likely die in such a situation. There would be no hope of survival. Even if one did not die, one would be crippled. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly as he snorted coldly. Starlight flickered in his eyes as well. The azure dragon seal in his soul pool flickered with light. A will of soul containing the primordial dragon might surged out of Xiao Chen's forehead and clashed with the combined will of soul. Buzz! The two soul wills clashed in the air. The two old men's soul wills crumbled upon contact. They didn't even have time to show shock on their faces. Xiao Chen's will of soul suppressed him, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood and kneel on the ground, unable to move. Dust filled the air, but it didn't move. Xiao Chen's soul will had already fixed this space. "Young Master Xiao, spare me." Old Ma and Old Lu knelt on the ground, completely scared out of their wits. Huang Puqi, who had not gone far, turned his head and saw this scene. He was petrified on the spot, feeling as if his face was on fire. Chapter 1749. Huang Puqi showed a sullen face, his expression completely stiff. He was completely stupefied. Earlier, Huang Puqi still maintained some pride. He did not use his will of soul or activate his great desolate Ian bloodline. He believed that even if he lost, it was because he did not use his full power or bring out all his trump cards. However, right now, Xiao Chen did it before everyone. He broke the will of soul that Senior Ma and Senior Lu worked together to bring out, announcing to everyone that he, Xiao Chen, also had a will of soul. Furthermore, it was not weak, easily breaking the will of soul of 2-star venerates. Huangpu Qi did not care about Senior Ma and Senior Lu at all. They were just 2-star venerates with ordinary talent. To ordinary people, they looked very awe-inspiring. However, Huangpu Qi was very knowledgeable. He had already seen many star venerates in a rank 5 sect. He had seen holy venerates and sovereign personages. In the Snow Sword Palace, with Senior Ma and Senior Lu's cultivation, they could only be outer sect administrators at best. They would not even be able to become elders. Huangpu Qi believed that he could break the will of soul that the two worked together. However, he would not be able to do it as easily as Xiao Chen. Senior brother, what's wrong? The Snow Sword Palace junior brother asked quickly when he saw that Huangpu Qi's expression was off. Huangpu Qi felt somewhat empty in his heart. He showed a desolate expression, appearing somewhat embarrassed. He said somewhat weakly, I'm fine. Let's go. Let's go. Huangpu Qi repeated himself twice in a row. Clearly, he was not in the right state of mind. His footsteps were unsteady, and he instantly looked much older. As Xiao Chen looked at Senior Ma and Senior Lu, he ignored their pleas for mercy. He pointed, and the two, who were suppressed by the will of soul, flew back into the air. After the two landed, their expressions turned stiff, and their eyes turned listless. In their soul pools, their souls had already been shattered, becoming 2 soulless bodies. They could not be any more dead. Xiao Chen had always despised such vile people who attacked from behind. He coldly waved his hand and said to the people who came to cause trouble, close my doors and scram. Yes. Yes. Yes, the people of Senior Ma's and Senior Lu's teams panicked, carrying the two's corpses and rushing away. The people watching the battle from the shadows remained silent for a long time. They had never expected such an ending. The sneak attack of 2-star venerates should have been in the bag. To think that Xiao Chen managed to turn the situation around. Who would have thought that Xiao Chen would be able to break Huangpu's miraculous phenomenon with just a flower-pinching finger? One day later, the battle shook the entire city. The white-clad Xiao Chen, who was already well known in the first place, became even more famous in Dragon Flame City. The topic of discussion was not just the ancient dragon race totem and his many treasures. It was his strength. Some people even believed that Xiao Chen was strong enough to rank among the 10 strongest bladesmen in Dragon Flame City. Apart from his low cultivation, he had no other shortcomings. Just how strong was the white-robed Xiao Chen? This was the topic that all of Dragon City was talking about the most. Apart from that, what they talked about the most was what Xiao Chen had said. Whoever could defeat the saber in his hand, he would give all the treasures on him to the other party for free. This sentence was seen as Xiao Chen issuing a challenge to all the experts of Dragon City. Everyone knew that the Dragon Flame Ancient Land was the place where the most geniuses and outstanding talents gathered in the dozens of nearby astral clusters. Every day, sect elites and outstanding talents from the various astral clusters would come here on experiential training. This was especially so now. Even the 10 great sects of the Yanwu dynasty's soaring dragon marquisate sent true inheritors to lead teams on experiential training. Some people found Xiao Chen's words too arrogant. Sooner or later, there would be trouble. Indeed, on the second day after Huangpu Qi's defeat, someone went to look for him. It's Bai Yan, a veteran expert of Dragon Flame City. His team ranks among the top 3 in Dragon Flame City. He lost. Bai Yan lost. After 100 moves, Xiao Chen knocked him into the air with one saber strike. He no longer had any combat prowess and fled in a sorry state. However, Bai Yan's defeat did not stop this craze. While Dragon Flame City lacked many things, it did not lack ruthless people. Did you hear? The Feng Luo, known as the 10,000 Demon Slayer in the northern city, sought out Xiao Chen after he returned from the depths of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. That's the one. I heard that Feng Luo killed more than 10,000 flame demons. He is a ruthless person. Although he did not break through to Star Venerate, he comprehended the will of soul long ago. His combat experience is scarily rich. That's right. That's him. When he returned this time, he already broke through to Star Venerate. When he heard that Xiao Qin has an ancient dragon race totem, he charged over without saying anything. What was the result? He lost. Xiao Qin defeated him in 50 moves. He was in an even worse state than Bai Yan. Ah! That can't be, right? No one expected that defeating Huangpu Qi was just the beginning for Xiao Qin. In merely 2 short months, more than 20 people sought out Xiao Qin to challenge him. Practically every 3 days, experts of Dragon Flame City or outstanding talents who came for experiential training sought out Xiao Qin. In the end, all of them lost without exception. However, there were people who did not believe that a person who had not broken through to Star Venerate could be strong. No matter how strong one was, there was a limit. However, despite these people attacking one after another, they could not defeat Xiao Qin. They even found it difficult to last more than 100 moves. Later, the cultivators in Dragon Flame City were shocked to discover that Xiao Qin seemed to grow stronger the more he fought. Xiao Qin seemed to grow stronger the more he fought. After every battle ended, his strength would increase by another level when he reappeared. Hence, a strange scene happened. Originally, every time Xiao Qin fought, there would be more than 100 people watching, learning from him and curious about the results. After 3 months, there were only a few people watching. This was because Xiao Qin's opponents lost increasingly faster. From the first 100 moves, now, no one could last more than 10 moves. He lost again. The top outstanding talent of the vast sea cluster, Nangong Ming, who broke through to Star Venerate at the age of 30, lost to Xiao Qin in 5 moves. That is within expectations. Now, I finally understand. This Xiao Qin is purposely using this to temper himself. He is really ruthless. In my opinion, only those dynasty scions or the top 100 great desolate Eon bloodlines can suppress him. Indeed. Such an existence can already go to the central great realm and make a name for himself. That is hard to say. Those who have not entered the central great realm will never know how narrow their vision is. That's right. In the dynasties, rank 5 sects are at the bottom. Not to mention rank 6 sects and the various holy sects above rank 6 sections. In the end, that world is still too far away from us. Just think about it. Just one cluster Lord Go, you can have an entire great realm as her conferred land. The vision of the people of the central great realm is completely different from ours. Right now, the discussion about Xiao Qin was no longer about how strong he was in Dragon Flame City. Instead, it was about whether such a demonic genius like him could make a name for himself in the central great realm. However, few people had been to the central great realm before. Everyone debated this endlessly, with many different opinions. Some people said that Xiao Qin was qualified to join a holy gate. Some people also said that Xiao Qin was not qualified enough and would only invite humiliation if he went to the central great realm. It was just like how many outstanding talents were among the top in their respective astral clusters. However, after they went to the central great realm, they all felt depressed and disappointed. Even after many years, when they returned, they did not mention their experiences in the central great realm. With one look, it was clear that they did not want to recall the past. They must have suffered great humiliation and could not bear to recall it. Another 3 months passed. Half a year passed just like that. Xiao Qin stood on the roof of his courtyard and looked at the people below. Then, he said softly, "Senior, you lost." Outside the courtyard, an old man stared at the broken saber on the ground. This old man muttered to himself in a daze. This old man was Feng Yuqiang, one of the original 10 great bladesmen of Dragon Flame City, ranked first. He came because of the ancient dragon race totem. A totem was not something that could be called a totem after it was carved on a piece of wood. It required a race to worship it, for countless people to worship it and offer their pious faith. Only after thousands or even tens of thousands of years could it take form and be called a totem. The totem of some minor races was already a priceless treasure. What more the ancient dragon race? Naturally, it would tempt countless experts. Feng Yuqiang had been tempted long ago. However, due to his status, he did not make a move. After half a year, as more and more people lost to Xiao Chen, Feng Yuqiang finally could no longer hold back and made a move. However, after one battle, after exchanging 10 moves, Xiao Chen broke his weapon. Feng Yuqiang suffered a crushing defeat, reduced to a sorry state. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and looked at the old man in front of the courtyard, somewhat distracted. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. To think that no one in Dragon Flame City was a match for him. Perhaps Xiao Chen had set his sights too low from the very start. Chapter 1750. Within half a year, all the famous experts of Dragon Flame City had challenged Xiao Chen. When the outstanding talents who came for experiential training heard of Xiao Chen's reputation and the wager, they all challenged him. Even the true inheritors of the 10 rank 5 sects of the Soaring Dragon Marquisate all rushed over. At first, people came to challenge Xiao Chen nearly every day. However, in the final month, only Feng Yuqiang came. Even so, he was defeated in 10 moves. I'm old. I'm really old. Feng Yuqiang picked up the broken saber and sighed to himself. Whoosh! Xiao Chen landed on the ground and performed a cupped fist salute. Senior, don't be too sad. Since ancient times, there has been no lack of powerful experts who became famous in their twilight years. Feng Yuqiang smiled bitterly and said, there are indeed quite a few. I even know some of them. However, they are definitely not me. I'll take my leave first. Feeling somewhat hurt, Feng Yuqiang shook his head and sighed before leaving alone. As Xiao Chen watched Feng Yuqiang leave, he entered deep thought. In the past half a year, he had defeated countless people. He would seriously observe the expressions and backs of every defeated person. Defeat had never been scary. What was scary was losing all fighting spirit after one defeat. Xiao Chen had once been reduced to a sorry state by a star venerate, like an ant that could be squashed. He had lost even more miserably than these people, in an even more sorry state. However, he did not lose his fighting spirit. That was how he rose up today, fighting everywhere in Dragon Flame City without suffering a single defeat. However, this was not a result that he could be too proud of. Xiao Chen withdrew his gaze and said softly, it is time to return. In the past half a year, Xiao Chen's cultivation had already reached peak consummation major primal core realm, only one step away from star venerate. Since he already condensed the will of soul, the bottleneck between major primal core venerate and cloud sea star venerate was not particularly large. There was no need for him to purposely make a breakthrough. When the conditions were right, he could advance to star venerate. Right now, Xiao Chen had to consider how to proceed after breaking through to star venerate. He needed a goal, someone to refer to. However, there was no one in Dragon Flame City that he could learn from. After packing his things, Xiao Chen silently left the northern city in the middle of the night. Dragon Flame City, Southern District, a middle-aged man wearing a cloak sat cross-legged on the top floor of a quiet and elegant pavilion. Beside his hand was a simple and unadorned longsword. In the quiet and peaceful top floor, there was an omnipresent sword aura that came from the middle-aged man's body. As long as he existed, the sword momentum would not disappear. Even if he was cultivating in seclusion, as long as he opened his eyes, the natural sword momentum would be ready to be unleashed. This was a shocking blow to the invader, catching him off guard. He was Baiming Feng. Xiao Chen was one of the 10 strongest swordsmen of Dragon Flame City, one of the sovereigns of the southern city. Over the years, he had killed countless aggrieved souls with his sword. Relying on the 4-foot-long sword, he had established an illustrious reputation. Very few people dared to provoke him. But tonight, under the lonely shadow of the waning moon, a young man in white walked over. The bright moon was not round, and the stars did not twinkle. Tonight, it was very dark. The man in white walked over with a saber in his hand. When he was 10 li away from the pavilion, Baiming Feng suddenly opened his eyes. Buzz buzz buzz. Auras clashed, and the saber and sword hummed. The decorations on the top floor shattered one by one, and cracks appeared on the pillars as they struggled. Dense saber intent and sword intent clashed with each other, causing the cracks to spread continuously. The instant Bai Ming Feng opened his eyes, he instantly grasped the sword beside him and drew it by 1 centimeter. A dazzling sword light and a sharp sword wind made Bai Ming Feng's long hair and clothes flutter wildly. However, by the time Bai Ming Feng opened his eyes, it was already too late. This was because Xiaoqin had already drawn his saber, and Bai Ming Feng had only just opened his eyes. Boom! The pavilion instantly shattered, turning into countless shards. However, Bai Ming Feng had not even drawn his sword yet. Whoosh! An even stronger saber light completely crushed Bai Ming Feng's sword wind, extinguishing it and forcibly driving it away. Before Bai Ming Feng could swing his sword, the saber light knocked the sword in his hand away. Ka-xie. The saber light chopped down, chopping off Bai Ming Feng's right hand, which originally held the sword. Blood spurted out like a fountain. When the pavilion shattered, Bai Ming Feng stabbed his sword into the ground, kneeling on one knee. His complexion was pale, but he did not say anything. Xiaoqin sheathed his saber, and the saber light that lit up the dark night vanished. However, Xiaoqian's white robes were still clearly visible in this quiet night. I am a vengeful person. Half a year ago, you stabbed me with your sword and nearly took my life. Half a year later, I will return the favor and cut off one of your arms. Right after Bai Ming Feng spoke, Xiaoqin left with his saber in hand, going further away in the hazy night sky with the waning moon hanging high. As Bai Ming Feng looked at his chopped-off arm, he revealed a bitter smile. Bai Ming Feng had long known that a demonic genius had appeared in the northern city. In the past half a year, this person had challenged all the experts in Dragon Flame City. He also knew that this person was the white-clad bladesman who once caught his sword with his bare hand. Furthermore, Bai Ming Feng knew that the other party would definitely come looking for him before leaving. However, Bai Ming Feng did not leave. Firstly, he could not bear to part with the profits he had accumulated in Dragon Flame City over the years. Secondly, he did not believe that he could not catch Xiaoqian's saber. Bai Ming Feng knew that Xiaoqian was like him, a proud and aloof person. Half a year ago, when Xiaoqian caught his sword, Bai Ming Feng stopped making a move, letting Xiaoqian leave. Unfortunately, after half a year, Bai Ming Feng failed to catch this saber strike. Losing an arm was the price Bai Ming Feng paid for his confidence. Bai Ming Feng picked up the chopped-off arm on the ground and quickly left without saying a word. Bai Ming Feng had made many enemies over the years. If he did not leave after losing an arm, he would be seeking death. Those enemies would not be as polite as Xiaoqian. At sunrise, a black horse carriage kicked up dust as it sped on the road leading to Soaring Dragon City. Xiaoqian sat cross-legged in the carriage, cultivating with his eyes closed, not slacking off at all. See! Cold chi spread out in the carriage, and snowflakes flew everywhere, condensing into ice feathers drifting about. In the past half a year, Xiaoqian had already cultivated the ice feather divine incantation to the 3rd layer. This was already very fast. In the future, Xiaoqian would have to slow down. Unless Xiaoqian ran into some fortuitous encounter or an ice-attributed natural treasure. Right now, Xiaoqian had a head of long hair, half white and half black. Despite his handsome air, there was now a hint of coldness. After 3 days and 3 nights, Soaring Dragon City came into view. Xiaoqian still needed to deal with some things before he could leave the Soaring Dragon Great Realm and return to the Grave Sea's Purple Flame sect. Xiaoqian still had many harvests in the underground Dragon City, like the blaze crystals and all sorts of natural treasures that he could not use. After cultivating for half a year, he had exhausted a lot of spirit jades, so he needed to replenish them. Whoosh! Ma Qing suddenly shrank back and then strangely vanished, appearing on Xiaoqian's clothes, which had suddenly appeared. Xiaoqian would arrive at Soaring Dragon City in another half a day. There was no need to use the Cycle War Chariot to travel. Just as Xiaoqian prepared to continue on, a strange aura attracted his attention. At some point in time, the busy road had turned quiet, no carriages or people in sight. Blocking the road? These two words were Xiao Chen's first reaction. To be able to block the road to Soaring Dragon City, how capable must this person be? Without the tacit approval of the cluster lord's residence or some connection, it would be impossible to block the road. Who would dare to offend the Soaring Dragon Marquis? That was a marquis conferred by an immortal dynasty. It represented not only honor but also deterrence and strength, not some symbolic thing. Whoosh! 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 Light flickered, and 18 figures approached from afar, surrounding Xiao Chen. They were all dressed in black, revealing only a pair of sharp eyes and a cold, murderous aura. Their footsteps were firm, and their cultivations were peak major primal core realm cultivators. With one look, one could tell that these people were skilled in formations and good at working together to kill. Hand over the ancient dragon race totem. I'll give you 1 second to consider. Kill. Without waiting for Xiao Chen to reply, when the 18 saw that he did not quickly take out the ancient dragon race totem, a murderous intent spread from their bodies. The murderous intent immediately erupted. Like a tsunami or a volcano erupting, the 18 drew their short swords at the same time. Piercing beams of light shot out from their feet. The light beams connected and instantly formed a three-dimensional formation, trapping Xiao Chen in it. This trapped Xiao Chen within, making it difficult to advance or retreat. Danger lurked everywhere. Chapter 1751. An expert. This was a tacit understanding that could only be cultivated by a true assassin for 10 years, or even dozens of years. Countless resources were needed to accumulate. Behind these simple 18 people was a great power whose depths could not be seen. Nurturing such 18 people would require much more resources than hiring a star venerate expert. Resources had a price, but time was priceless. Not everyone had the ability to spend more than a decade to nurture such death warriors. There must be a huge force behind it. There must be specialized people and organizations that carry out systematic training. Light and shadow flickered between black and white. Countless sword shadows charged towards Xiao Chen, stabbing, slashing, left and right. In the sky, on the ground, in all directions, there was not a single blind spot. Clang clang clang. Unsheathing his saber, Xiao Chen did not move an inch. His expression was calm as he brandished the saber in his hand. As the sword and saber clashed, all sorts of clanging sounds could be heard. It was exceptionally shocking. The round of attacks that were like an inescapable net ended in the blink of an eye. Another round followed, not giving anyone a chance to catch their breath. Between heaven and earth, light and shadow danced. This three-dimensional array was shrouded by layers of sword shadows. From an outsider's point of view, they could only see the dancing swords forming a huge sphere. After 18 rounds, the black shadow returned to its original position. There were no wounds on Xiao Chen's body. After half a year of training, his saber skills had reached a whole new level. When Xiao Chen waved his hand, his saber light could easily envelop a place. With one move, he could easily block the combined attacks of several people. But the situation was still not optimistic. Xiao Chen felt that this complicated and profound formation was just the beginning. There were still many more incredible moves that he had yet to bring out. The targets of this formation should be middle-stage star venerates or even late-stage star venerates. He had to defeat one of them. Otherwise, if the other party were to continue to display the might of the formation, they would be unable to escape. He would definitely perish here today. Change formation. Just as Xiao Chen expected, the leader of the black-robed men snorted coldly. The 18 figures quickly changed positions. The light on the ground and the connected sword shadows in the air kept changing. Like a ripple, all sorts of killing intents assaulted Zhang Xian unceasingly. The formation was filled with killing intent. One wrong step and they would fall into a bottomless abyss and be dismembered. Xiao Chen had no choice but to follow suit. He tried his best to find the slightest chance of survival in the array formation. Of the 50 Dian numbers, 9 out of 40 are used, and 1 is missing. The heavenly Tao was heartless, but no matter what, there would always be a chance of survival. Any killing formation was like this, it could not go against the natural order. No matter how many layers of killing intent there would always be a chance of survival. What was difficult was to distinguish between real and fake, and between fake and real. How to divide it? How to argue? Fortunately, Xiao Chen was proficient in the art of geomancy. He had been through hundreds of battles and was particularly sensitive to killing intent. In such a killing formation, Xiao Chen kept flashing about, narrowly avoiding the layers of danger. Wait! Killing intent gathered in Xiao Chen's eyes. He still had many trump cards that he had yet to use, even though it was dangerous and he could lose his life at any moment. However, he had not used any of these trump cards. Either he didn't use it, or once he did, he would be sealed with blood and killed without mercy. The 18 assassins watched in shock as Xiao Chen continuously moved about but failed to land a hit. This formation was called the star-killing formation. As the name suggested, it was used to kill star venerates. Once it was executed, there was no chance of failure. However, today, Xiao Chen was just a major primal core venerate. Even after fighting for so long, he still did not show any openings. Attack! The leader of the assassins shouted, losing some patience. Immediately, 9 figures soared into the air and thrust their swords at Xiao Chen. The 9 swords merged into one, and space trembled. If there were a tall mountain here, it would definitely collapse. Even a middle-stage star venerate would have to dodge the attack of the 9 swords merged into one. As long as one retreated, one would fall into the killing intent of the formation, consigned to eternal damnation. The 9 people's eyes were sharp, cold, emotionless, devoid of color, only a heavy death chi. Xiao Chen stood upright with his hands behind his back. Then, he smiled coldly and said, I was waiting for you to attack. 2 spots of light appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes, one golden and one white. The Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram suddenly took form. Yin-Yang, the 4 divisions, the 8 trigrams, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared. Dang! The 9 swords struck the diagram but did not budge at all, unable to break it. Scatter! Xiao Chen pushed with his hand, and the yin-yang flame diagram gave off a bright golden light. Then, it charged forward, sweeping through everything in its path, unblockable. Before the 9 black-clad assassins could retreat, the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram crashed into them. They immediately vomited large mouthfuls of blood and went flying back. The star-killing formation instantly broke. When the light and shadow disappeared, the feeling of being restrained by the light and shadow that had been lingering around Xiao Chen vanished. Resolving the mundane. Severing the 7 emotions, severing the 6 desires, resolving the mundane, achieving eternity. After being suppressed for so long, Xiao Chen's killing intent erupted like a flash flood as he swung his saber. The 9 black-clad assassins who got knocked away all got chopped in half at the waist, splattering blood everywhere. Mission failed. Retreat. The leader paled in shock. In a fluster, he decisively retreated, not daring to get involved. After all, the 9 were not star venerates. Once the formation failed, they returned to their original form. You think you can leave? Xiao Chen snorted coldly. His figure trembled, and he executed Dermic World, turning into a 3-kilometer-tall giant. When Xiao Chen landed, he trampled 3 fleeing black-clad assassins to death. Then, just as he was about to recover his true form, he sent out a saber strike with all his might. The saber light grew to 30 kilometers long, looking like a rainbow descending from the sky, killing another 4 people. Ice Blood Lightning Dragon. The instant Xiao Chen recovered his true form, a berserk tricolor dragon flew out of his palm. It grew with the wind, bearing fangs and claws as it instantly swallowed up a person. The situation reversed in an instant. Only the leader managed to flee more than 5 kilometers away. However, before that leader could rejoice or sigh, he saw an invisible will carrying the might of the world howling over. Everywhere this will passed, strong winds howled, and the grass bent. It was like a sovereign descending, all things submitting. Boom! The leader felt like a mountain crashed into him. He grunted and vomited a mouthful of blood as he knelt on the ground. Xiao Chen's will of soul suppressed this person to the point that he could not move. The might of the world froze this space. The drifting dust, the flying tree branches, and the passing birds all froze. It was like time had stopped flowing. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and grabbed. Nothing moved except the leader's body. Then, he ruthlessly pulled it back. As Xiao Chen grabbed the leader's body, he showed a sullen expression as he tossed it away like trash. This person was already dead. The moment the will of soul suppressed him, he committed suicide. Xiao Chen withdrew his will of soul into his body. Rumble. The trees fell to the ground, the dust flew up again, and the birds flew away in a fluster. Corpses littered the ground, with severed limbs and a heavy stench of blood lingering in the surroundings. Xiao Chen's expression turned somewhat scarily sullen. His alternating black and white hair exuded a startling chill from his entire body. It was like his killing chi was sealed in ice. Xiao Chen looked at the silhouette of soaring Dragon City at the limits of his vision. Xiao Chen muttered, "The Cluster Lord's residence." There was no grudge between them, yet Xiao Chen made such a killing move. He was truly ruthless. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, vanishing from where he stood. Then, he headed for Soaring Dragon City silently. His destination was Soaring Dragon City's Cluster Lord's residence. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. At the same time, a group of unwelcome guests arrived at Dragon Flame City, which was still far away. 7 or 8 people gathered at the city gates. All of them had extraordinary auras and a withdrawn sharpness. Vaguely, they stirred up the world. Even though they hid their sharpness, their invisible auras made others retreat, not daring to stand together with them. They were like beggars not daring to sit together with a sovereign king. The leader was a woman in a plain red dress. She had a graceful figure, and her black hair fluttered in the wind, stirring up all sorts of flirtatious feelings, intoxicating one. Dragon Flame City. The woman in the red dress had a small, exquisite saber hanging at her waist. As she looked at the words, Dragon Flame City, she said softly. This place is now the conferred land of the Yanwu dynasty's soaring dragon marquis. He bestowed it to his most beloved daughter, Cluster Lord Go Yu. Who knows how long this place has been here? To think that the aura of my dragon race still lingers. This is incredible. The few people discussed in soft voices. As they spoke, the information they revealed made everyone's hair stand on end. Horror filled their eyes. The dragon race's people are here at Dragon Flame City. Something major is going to happen. Quickly, let's go. No one on the city walls dared to sneak a peek at this group of people. They scattered in a fluster. Everyone felt their legs go weak. A handsome youth among them said politely to the woman in the red dress, "Senior Sister Ryue, news of an ancient dragon race totem came from this place.